Chosen one, if you have been waking up exhausted even after rest, if your mind has been foggy for weeks and you cannot explain why, if you feel like something heavy is sitting on your chest and no one around you understands, I need you to stop everything and listen to what I am about to tell you. There is a battle happening in the spiritual realm right now, at this very moment, and you are at the center of it, not as a casualty, as the reason it started. Someone in a dimension you cannot see looked at everything the darkness was planning against you and said, "Not this one, not now, not ever." And they stepped forward to fight. That is why you are exhausted, not because you are weak, but because your spirit has been engaged in warfare your conscious mind does not even know about. Here is what makes this different from anything you have heard before. The forces fighting for you are winning. They have already secured what was promised to you. But there is a gap, a measurable gap, between what heaven has prepared for you and what your mind is currently able to receive. That gap is where every delay lives. That gap is where every broken relationship was manufactured. That gap is where your self-doubt was planted like a seed by the enemy, because as long as you do not trust yourself the way heaven trusts you, you cannot hold what is coming. And chosen one, what is coming will make the last several years of pain make perfect sense. By the end of what I am about to share, you will understand exactly who has been fighting for you, why they trusted you above everyone else, and the one thing that must shift inside your mind before every locked door swings open at once. Do not leave this message. You were meant to find this today, and the one who has been fighting for you is counting on you to stay. Now I need you to understand something about the way the spiritual realm operates, because most people miss this, and it costs them years. Years of confusion, years of wondering why they feel so different, years of believing the lie that they were forgotten. The spiritual realm is not a distant place where angels sit on clouds and watch you struggle. It is a dimension that exists right alongside this one, separated only by the thickness of your awareness. And in that dimension, right now, there are forces that have been assigned to your life since before you took your first breath. These forces did not choose you at random. They were given a specific assignment, and that assignment is you, your protection, your breakthrough, your destiny. And they take that assignment more seriously than any human being has ever taken anything in your life. Think about that for a moment. The people who were supposed to love you, some of them left. The ones who promised to stay, some of them lied. The friends who swore they would always be there, some of them disappeared the moment you needed them most. And I know how much that hurt. I know, because that kind of pain does not just sit in your heart. It moves into your bones. It changes the way you walk into a room. It makes you smaller than you were meant to be. But here is the truth that will begin to shift everything for you today. While the humans were leaving, something else was arriving. While the people you counted on were walking away, forces in the spiritual realm were walking toward you. Every single time someone abandoned you, heaven responded, not with words, not with promises, with warriors. You were never meant to know this part of your story through human understanding alone. You were meant to feel it first. And if you are feeling something stirring inside you right now, that is not coincidence. That is confirmation. That is your spirit recognizing a truth your mind has been too tired to process. I want you to consider something that might change the way you see every painful thing that has happened to you in the last 12 months. What if the exhaustion you have been carrying is not yours? What if the heaviness in your chest is not depression, not anxiety, not burnout, but the residual weight of a spiritual battle that has been raging around you while you slept? Because that is exactly what is happening. You have been living in a war zone and you did not even know it. The battles have been real, the attacks have been strategic, and your confusion, your brain fog, your inability to focus on the things that matter most, all of it has been manufactured by an enemy that knows exactly what you are capable of if your mind were clear. And this is the part that most people never discover. The enemy is not attacking you because you are weak. The enemy is attacking you because you are dangerous. Not dangerous in a destructive way. Dangerous to every system of darkness that has been feeding on your doubt, your silence, and your belief that you do not matter. Chosen one. The reason your life has felt so much harder than the lives of the people around you is not because you did something wrong. It is because you were chosen for something extraordinary, and extraordinary assignments always come with extraordinary resistance. Have you noticed that the same things that seem easy for other people feel almost impossible for you? Not because you lack intelligence, not because you lack effort, but because there is an invisible force pressing against you that other people simply do not face. They do not face it because they were not chosen. They were not selected for the assignment that has your name written on it. And that assignment is so significant that heaven itself had to intervene, not with gentle suggestions, not with quiet guidance, with war, with angelic deployment. With a defense strategy that has been active since before the first attack ever reached you, let me tell you something you may not be ready to hear, but you need to hear it anyway. The reason you have always felt like you do not belong is because you do not. Not in the way the world defines belonging. You were never meant to fit into the pattern that everyone else follows. You were designed for a different frequency, a higher operation, a purpose that the average person would not be able to carry. And the enemy knows this. The enemy has always known this. That is why the attacks started early. That is why your childhood was harder than it should have been. That is why the people who were supposed to protect you either failed or disappeared. The enemy was trying to break the vessel before the vessel knew what it carried. But it did not work. You are still here. You are still breathing. You are still listening. And that, chosen one, is the single greatest proof that the battle being fought on your behalf is being won. Now, I want to plant something in your mind that we will come back to later, because it connects everything. There is a reason your brain feels like it is running at half capacity. There is a scientific, neurological reason why your thoughts feel heavy and your focus disappears without warning. It is not laziness. It is not age. It is not a character flaw. Something in the way your brain processes trust, safety, and possibility has been disrupted, and that disruption is the physical signature of the spiritual war happening around you. The enemy cannot destroy your destiny. That was sealed before you were born. But the enemy can do something almost as effective. The enemy can interfere with your ability to receive it. Think of it like a radio tower broadcasting a powerful signal, but the receiver is damaged. The signal is there. The music is playing. The message is being sent. But if the receiver cannot pick it up, it might as well not exist. That is what has been done to your mind, not by accident, by design, by an enemy that understands if it cannot stop what heaven is sending, it will stop you from being able to receive it. And chosen one, that is the gap I was talking about. The gap between what heaven has prepared and what your mind can currently hold. Closing that gap is not just a spiritual exercise. It is the key to everything that has been delayed in your life. What I am about to explain is going to challenge something you have believed for a long time. You have believed that your struggle is proof of failure. You have believed that because things have not worked out the way you planned, something must be fundamentally broken inside you. And every time you looked at the people around you, the ones who seemed to move through life so easily, that belief got stronger. But chosen one, I need you to hear this clearly. Your struggle is not proof of failure. Your struggle is proof of value. The intensity of what you have been facing is a direct measurement of how important your assignment is. Nobody sends an army to fight over something worthless. Nobody deploys that level of spiritual resistance against a life that does not matter. The very fact that you have been under attack this heavily tells you something that should make your heart beat faster. You are carrying something the enemy is terrified of. And here is where it gets personal. I want you to think back to a specific moment. It might have been a few months ago. It might have been last year. But there was a moment when everything suddenly got harder. Not gradually. Suddenly, like someone flipped a switch inside your life and everything that was manageable became overwhelming. Your sleep changed. Your energy dropped. Your motivation disappeared. The people around you started acting differently, almost as if they could sense something shifting but did not know what it was. That moment was not random. That was the moment the spiritual realm recognized that your season of preparation was ending and your season of activation was beginning. And the enemy, who had been watching and waiting, launched a full-scale assault on the one thing that could stop your activation from completing: your mind. Not your spirit. Your spirit is untouchable. It was sealed by the one who created you, and no force of darkness can break that seal. But your mind, the part of you that processes reality, that decides what is possible and what is not, that determines whether you step forward or stay frozen, your mind is the battleground. And right now, the enemy is winning that particular battle. Not because the enemy is stronger than you, but because you did not know there was a battle happening. Think about what happens to a soldier who does not know there is a war. They do not take cover. They do not put on armor. They do not call for reinforcements. They just stand in the open, confused about why they keep getting hit, wondering why life hurts so much when they have done nothing wrong. That has been you. Not because you are naive, but because the nature of this war was hidden from you on purpose. The enemy hid the war from you because the enemy understood something critical. If you ever found out that you were under spiritual attack, you would stop blaming yourself. And the moment you stop blaming yourself, the enemy loses its most powerful weapon against you. Self-blame is the chain that keeps chosen ones locked in place, not external circumstances, not other people. Self-blame, the quiet voice inside that whispers, maybe I deserve this. Maybe this is all I am worth. Maybe everyone who left was right to leave. That voice is not yours. I need you to understand that. That voice was planted. It was cultivated over years of strategic attacks designed to make you believe you are the problem. And every time you accepted that voice as truth, the gap between who you are and who heaven knows you to be grew wider. Let me tell you about this gap, because understanding it changes everything. Right now, in this very moment, heaven sees you as complete. Heaven sees you as powerful. Heaven sees you as the exact right person for the assignment that was written with your name on it before the foundations of the world were set. There is not a single doubt in the spiritual realm about your capability. The angels fighting for you are not fighting because they think you might be the one. They are fighting because they know you are. But you do not see yourself that way. You see yourself through the filter of every failure, every rejection, every moment someone looked at you and decided you were not enough. And that filter has created a gap between who heaven says you are and who you believe yourself to be. And it is in that gap, in that dark space between divine certainty and human doubt, that the enemy has built its entire operation against your life. This is what I call the trust gap. And before we go any further, I need you to understand why this concept matters more than almost anything else you will ever hear. The trust gap is not a metaphor. It is a functional, measurable distance between your current state of mind and the state of mind you were designed to operate in. When the gap is wide, blessings cannot land, opportunities pass you by, relationships fail before they start. You feel stuck. Not because nothing is happening, but because your mind is not calibrated to receive what is already being sent. When the gap is narrow, everything accelerates. Doors open. The right people appear. Your energy returns. Your clarity sharpens. Things that felt impossible suddenly feel inevitable. And the people around you start to notice something different about you, something they cannot name but cannot ignore. The difference between a wide gap and a narrow gap is not more prayer. It is not more faith. It is not trying harder. It is something so specific, so precise, that most people never discover it on their own. And I will share exactly what it is with you before this message ends, because you were meant to hear it. But first, I need to take you deeper into the battle that has been happening on your behalf. Because if you do not understand the full scope of what the enemy has been doing, you will not understand why the solution works the way it does. And more importantly, you will not understand just how much someone in the spiritual realm has sacrificed to keep you alive, keep you sane, and keep you positioned for what is about to happen next. Because, chosen one, what is about to happen in your life is not small. It is not a minor improvement. It is a complete recalibration of everything you thought you knew about yourself, your purpose, and your power. And the enemy knows it. That is why the attacks have been so relentless. That is why you feel like you are running out of time. That is why every fiber of your being has been screaming that something needs to change. Something does need to change, and it is closer than you think. But I want to pause here and acknowledge something. I know how hard it is to hear words like these and actually believe them. I know because the trust gap does not just affect the way you receive blessings, it affects the way you receive truth. When someone tells you that you are chosen, something inside you resists. When someone tells you that heaven is fighting for you, a part of your mind whispers, "Why would they fight for me? I have not done anything to deserve that." And that resistance, that quiet rejection of your own value, is the most dangerous symptom of the trust gap, because it means the enemy does not even need to attack you anymore. You are doing the work for them. Every time you dismiss a compliment, every time you downplay your own strength, every time you convince yourself that good things happen to other people but not to you, you are widening the gap. And the wider the gap gets, the harder it becomes for heaven to deliver what was already won on your behalf. This is not about deserving. Let me say that again because it matters. This is not about deserving. The battle being fought for you was never based on your performance. It was based on your assignment. You were chosen not because you earned it, but because you were built for it. And the sooner you stop measuring your worth by what you have accomplished and start measuring it by what heaven invested to protect you, the sooner everything changes. Now let me show you something that will make the hair on your arms stand up. I am going to describe the exact pattern the enemy uses against chosen ones, and as I go through it, you are going to recognize your own life in every single step. This is not a guess. This is a blueprint that has been used against every single person who carries the kind of assignment you carry. Step 1. The enemy isolates you. Not all at once. Gradually. One relationship at a time. One friendship at a time. One betrayal at a time. Until you wake up one morning and realize you have no one to call, no one who truly understands, no one who sees you the way you need to be seen. And the loneliness becomes so familiar that you stop recognizing it as an attack. You start calling it your personality. You start saying things like, "I am just someone who prefers being alone." But that is not who you are. That is what was done to you. Step 2. The enemy exhausts you. Once you are isolated, the attacks on your energy begin. You start waking up tired. You start losing motivation for things that used to excite you. Your body feels heavier than it should. Your thoughts move slower than they used to. And the worst part is that there is no medical explanation. You go to the doctor and everything comes back normal. You try sleeping more and it does not help. You try exercising and it makes you feel worse. Because this exhaustion is not physical, it is spiritual. It is the byproduct of a battle being fought over your future while your body tries to function in 2 dimensions at once. Step 3. The enemy confuses you. Once you are isolated and exhausted, the fog moves in. Not a little confusion, a deep, persistent fog that makes it impossible to think clearly about your purpose. You forget what you were excited about. You lose track of your goals. You cannot make decisions. You spend hours doing nothing and feeling guilty about it, which creates more exhaustion, which feeds more confusion. It is a cycle designed to keep you spinning in place forever. Step 4, and this is the cruelest part. The enemy makes you blame yourself. After the isolation, the exhaustion, and the confusion have done their work, the enemy delivers the final blow. The voice inside your head that says, "This is your fault. You are not strong enough. You are not spiritual enough. You are not disciplined enough. If you were better, things would be better. If you were more faithful, God would have helped you by now." That voice is the most sophisticated weapon in the arsenal of the enemy, because it uses your own standards against you. It takes your desire to be good, your desire to grow, your desire to be worthy, and it weaponizes those desires into self-destruction. You end up attacking yourself with the very qualities that make you chosen in the first place. Chosen one. If you just recognized yourself in those 4 steps, I need you to take a breath right now. Not because this is overwhelming, although it might be, but because recognition is the first step toward freedom. The blueprint of the enemy only works in the dark. The moment you see it, the moment you understand that your isolation was not natural, your exhaustion was not normal, your confusion was not a character flaw, and your self-blame was not truth, the entire structure begins to crack. And this is where I need to tell you something that most spiritual teachers will not say, because it goes against everything the world teaches about inner healing. The solution to the trust gap is not more self-help. It is not more meditation. It is not more journaling or positive affirmations or gratitude lists. Those things have their place, but they cannot close a gap that was opened through targeted spiritual warfare. Let me explain why. When the enemy attacks your mind, it does not attack your thoughts. That is what most people assume, and that is why most solutions fail. The enemy attacks the mechanism that produces your thoughts. There is a difference, and it is critical. Your thoughts are the output. The mechanism is the operating system. And what the enemy has done, over years of strategic assault, is corrupt the operating system itself. This means that even when you try to think positively, the corrupted operating system processes it through a filter of doubt. Even when you try to believe in yourself, the system adds a question mark at the end. Even when someone tells you that heaven is fighting for you, the system whispers, "But why would they?" This corruption happens at a level deeper than conscious thought. It happens in the neural pathways that determine how your brain processes trust, safety, and possibility. These pathways were designed to be open, flexible, and receptive. But years of spiritual warfare have narrowed them to the point where only survival signals get through. Joy gets filtered out, hope gets filtered out, and the belief that you are worthy of what heaven has prepared for you gets filtered out before it ever reaches your conscious awareness. That is why you can hear the most powerful sermon, read the most inspiring book, receive the most beautiful prophecy, and still feel nothing change, not because the message was wrong, but because the receiver was damaged. The signal was perfect. Your spirit received it fully. But by the time it passed through the corrupted pathways of your mind, it arrived as doubt instead of faith, as fear instead of hope, as resignation instead of activation. And here is the part that will either frustrate you or free you, depending on how you receive it. You cannot fix the receiver with the receiver. You cannot use a corrupted mind to heal a corrupted mind. You need something from outside the system, something that bypasses the corruption entirely and goes straight to the root, something that resets the pathways back to their original design, the design that heaven intended when it created you to be open, trusting, and fully capable of receiving everything that was promised. That something exists, and by the time we reach the heart of this message, you will know exactly what it is. But before we get there, I want to take you somewhere important. I want to take you to the moment the battle for your life began, not the moment you first felt the symptoms, not the moment the exhaustion started or the fog rolled in. I am talking about the original moment, the moment in the spiritual realm when your assignment was announced and the forces of darkness heard it for the first time. Because there was a moment. A declaration was made about your life, about your purpose, about the impact you were designed to have on this earth. And the moment that declaration was spoken, every dark force that would be affected by your success mobilized against you. They did not wait for you to grow up. They did not wait for you to discover your purpose. They began working against you from the very start, because they understood something that you are only now beginning to realize. Your assignment is not just about you. It never was. Your breakthrough, your healing, your activation, it affects more people than you can count. There are lives connected to your purpose that are waiting for you to step into who you were meant to be. There are generations after you that will benefit from the cycle you are about to break. There are prayers spoken by people you have never met, ancestors who carried the same assignment but could not complete it, and they passed it down through bloodlines until it reached the one person strong enough to carry it to completion. That person is you. Not because you feel strong, not because you feel ready, but because heaven does not make mistakes in selection. The one who chose you measured the weight of the assignment against the capacity of your spirit, and the numbers matched perfectly. The only thing that does not match right now is your mind. Your spirit says yes. Your mind says, I cannot. And that mismatch, that internal war between spiritual certainty and mental doubt, is the trust gap in its purest form. Closing it is not optional. It is the single most important thing that will happen in your life this year. And what I am about to share with you will show you exactly how it happens. Let me tell you about someone I need you to know about. Not a celebrity, not a religious leader, not anyone the world would consider important. Just a person, a lot like you, who was carrying the same weight you are carrying right now. This person had the same fog, the same exhaustion, the same feeling of being chosen for something, but being completely unable to reach it. And, like you, this person had tried everything: prayer, fasting, counseling, medication, discipline, willpower, and nothing worked. Not because those things are bad, but because none of them addressed the actual problem. The actual problem was the receiver, the mechanism in their mind that was supposed to translate spiritual truth into lived experience had been damaged by years of spiritual warfare. And no amount of external effort could fix an internal system that was operating below the level of conscious thought. But then something happened that changed everything for this person. They discovered something, a method that had been developed not by a pastor or a spiritual teacher, but by a neuroscientist. A researcher who had spent decades studying the exact pathways in the brain that determine how humans process trust, safety, and the ability to receive good things. And this researcher had found something remarkable, something that most people in the spiritual community have never heard of, because it came from science, not from scripture. But chosen one, the truth does not care where it comes from. It cares that it reaches you. This method, this specific tool, was designed to do one thing: reset the neural pathways that the enemy had corrupted, not through willpower, not through repetition, not through years of therapy, through a targeted approach that works at the level where the damage actually exists, the level below thought, the level where your brain decides, before you are even conscious of it, whether you are safe enough to trust, open enough to receive, and worthy enough to hold what heaven is sending. I will share the details of this method with you very soon, but I need you to understand why it matters in the context of the battle being fought on your behalf first. Because without that context, it will sound like just another self-help tool, and it is not. It is the bridge between the spiritual victory that has already been won for you and the physical, mental, and emotional transformation that has been delayed because your receiver was offline. Now, let me take you deeper into the battle, because what happened in the spiritual realm when your assignment was announced is something that will change the way you see every difficult relationship you have ever had. When heaven selected you for your assignment, it was not a quiet decision, it was a declaration. And declarations in the spiritual realm do not go unnoticed. Every force that operates in darkness, every entity that feeds on human confusion and despair, every system that profits from people staying small and afraid, they all heard it, and they all understood what it meant. It meant that someone was coming who had the power to disrupt everything they had built. Someone who could break chains that had been in place for generations. Someone who could illuminate the darkness in a way that would set others free. That someone is you, and the enemy has known it far longer than you have. That is why the attacks started so early in your life. Think about your childhood. Think about the things that happened to you that should not have happened to any child. The rejection, the instability, the feeling of being different in a way that no one around you could understand or validate. Those were not random misfortunes. Those were preemptive strikes against a destiny that the enemy could see but you could not. The enemy operates on intelligence, not on chance. It studies the assignments given to chosen ones and designs attacks that specifically target the areas where the assignment is strongest. If your assignment involves leading people out of darkness, the enemy will make sure you experience the deepest darkness yourself. If your assignment involves healing broken families, the enemy will make sure your own family breaks first. If your assignment involves bringing clarity and wisdom to confused souls, the enemy will attack your own mind with fog so thick you cannot see your own hand in front of your face. Does that pattern sound familiar? It should, because it is your story. Every area of your greatest pain is pointing directly at your greatest assignment. The enemy did not attack you randomly. The enemy attacked you strategically, targeting the exact abilities that heaven gave you, because those abilities are the biggest threat to the kingdom of darkness. And here is the revelation that most chosen ones miss entirely. The attacks did not damage your abilities. Your gifts are intact. Your calling has not changed. Your assignment is still waiting for you exactly where heaven placed it. What the attacks damaged was your access to those abilities. The trust gap is not a gap in your potential. It is a gap in your access. Everything you need is already inside you. You just cannot reach it because the pathways that connect your conscious mind to your spiritual capacity have been narrowed by years of warfare. This is why you have those moments, those brief, beautiful moments where everything suddenly makes sense. Moments where you feel the power of who you really are. Moments where clarity breaks through the fog and you can see your purpose so clearly it takes your breath away. And then, Just as quickly as it came, it disappears. The fog rolls back in, the doubt returns, and you are left wondering if what you felt was even real. It was real. It is always real. Those moments are the signal breaking through the damaged receiver. For just a second, the pathways open wide enough for the truth to get through. And in that second, you see yourself the way heaven sees you. Powerful, clear, unstoppable. But then the corrupted pathways narrow again, and the signal is lost. What if those moments did not have to end? What if the clarity you feel in those brief flashes could become your permanent state of operation? What if the pathways could be reopened, not for a moment, but for good? That is not a hypothetical question. That is a promise. And the person who has been fighting for you in the spiritual realm, the one who trusted you more than you have ever trusted yourself, they are fighting precisely so that this promise can be fulfilled. Every battle they have won, every attack they have deflected, every dark strategy they have dismantled, it has all been leading to one moment. The moment you close the trust gap and become fully operational for the first time in your life, that moment is closer than you think. And I am going to show you exactly how it happens. But first, I need you to understand one more thing about the nature of the battle, because this is the part that separates chosen ones who break through from chosen ones who stay stuck for another decade. The enemy does not fight fair. The enemy never has and never will. And one of the most devastating tactics in the playbook of the enemy is something I call the generational echo. It works like this. The attacks against you did not start with you. They started generations ago, targeting your bloodline, your family, your ancestors. The same fog that sits on your mind right now sat on the minds of people in your family tree who never got free. The same patterns of abandonment, confusion, and self-doubt that you carry were carried by people whose names you may never even know. They prayed for freedom. They prayed for deliverance. They prayed for someone in their bloodline who would be strong enough to break the cycle once and for all. And chosen one, their prayers were answered. Not in their lifetime. In yours. You are the answer to prayers that were spoken before you were born. You are the culmination of a generational cry for help that has been echoing through your family line for longer than anyone alive can remember. That is why this feels so heavy. You are not just carrying your own battle, you are carrying the final stage of a war that has been fought across generations. And the one who is fighting for you in the spiritual realm knows this. They know the full weight of what rests on your shoulders, and they are not backing down. Chosen one, what I am about to tell you next is something that very few people on this earth understand. And the reason they do not understand it is because the enemy has spent centuries making sure this knowledge stays buried. Buried in academic journals nobody reads. Buried in research labs nobody visits. Buried under layers of religious tradition that taught you the mind is separate from the spirit, when in truth, they were always meant to work together. Here is the hidden truth. Your brain was designed by the same intelligence that designed the spiritual realm. The same God who created angels and assigned them to fight for you also created the neural pathways in your brain that determine how you experience reality. These two systems, the spiritual and the neurological, were never meant to operate independently. They were designed as one integrated system where spiritual truth flows through neural pathways and becomes lived experience. When the system works as designed, there is no gap. What heaven declares, your mind accepts. What the spirit receives, the body responds to. Blessings land without resistance. Purpose activates without confusion. And the voice of the enemy is filtered out before it ever reaches your conscious thoughts. The same way a healthy immune system filters out disease before you ever feel sick. But when the system is disrupted, when the neural pathways that connect spiritual truth to conscious experience are narrowed by years of trauma, warfare, and self-doubt, the entire operation breaks down. Heaven keeps sending, your spirit keeps receiving, but your mind keeps rejecting, and you live in this torturous state of knowing deep down that you are meant for something incredible while being completely unable to access it. This is not a theory. This is neuroscience confirmed by decades of research into how the human brain processes belief, trust, and what scientists call receptive capacity. Receptive capacity is exactly what it sounds like. It is the measurable ability of your brain to receive new information, new possibilities, and new realities without automatically filtering them through old patterns of fear and doubt. Studies have shown that when receptive capacity is high, people make better decisions, form deeper relationships, experience more synchronicities, and report a stronger sense of purpose. When receptive capacity is low, people experience exactly what you have been experiencing: fog, exhaustion, isolation, the inability to move forward even when you know exactly where you need to go. And here is the part that will either excite you or frighten you, depending on how open your receiver is right now. Receptive capacity is not fixed. It is not something you are born with and stuck with forever. It can be changed. It can be restored. It can be expanded back to the level it was designed to operate at before the enemy started its work on your mind. But it cannot be changed through the methods most people try. You cannot think your way to higher receptive capacity because thinking uses the very pathways that are corrupted. You cannot will yourself into it because willpower is a surface-level function that does not reach the depth where the damage exists. You cannot pray your way into it, not because prayer does not work, but because prayer addresses the spiritual side of the equation while leaving the neurological side untouched. What you need is something that works on both sides simultaneously, something that resets the neural pathways while aligning them with the spiritual truth your spirit already holds. Something that closes the gap from the inside, not by adding more information to a corrupted system, but by restoring the system itself to its original operating frequency. Now, I know what you might be thinking. You might be thinking that this sounds too specific, too precise, too different from anything you have heard in a spiritual message before. And you are right. It is different. Because this is not just a spiritual message. This is an activation sequence. Every word I have spoken so far has been preparing your mind to receive something it would have rejected if I had started with it. And the fact that you are still here, still listening, still feeling that stirring inside your chest, tells me that your receiver is beginning to crack open. The enemy does not want you to hear what comes next. I can promise you that. Because what comes next is the answer to the prayer you stopped praying, the solution you stopped looking for, the breakthrough you stopped believing in. And when you receive it, when your mind finally opens wide enough to hold it, the trust gap closes, not gradually, not over years, in a way that will make you wonder how you ever lived without it. But we are not there yet, because there is something else I need to show you first. Something about the one who has been fighting for you that will make everything I have said so far feel small by comparison. You see, chosen one, I have been talking about the battle. I have been talking about the enemy. I have been talking about the trust gap and the damaged receiver and the corrupted pathways. But I have not yet told you about the fighter, the one who stood up in the spiritual realm and said, "I will go. I will fight for this one. I will not stop until the assignment is fulfilled." That is the story that changes everything. Because when you understand who is fighting for you and why they chose you specifically, the trust gap does not just narrow, it collapses. Self-doubt becomes impossible. And the enemy loses the only weapon it ever had against you. Who is this fighter? It is not who you think. It is not a distant, impersonal force. It is not an abstract concept of divine love that sounds beautiful in theory but feels hollow in practice. The one fighting for you is specific, personal, intentional, and they know you in a way that no human being ever has or ever could. They know the exact moment you stopped believing in yourself. They were there. They know the exact words that broke your confidence. They heard them. They know the exact night you cried yourself to sleep and wondered if anyone in the universe cared, whether you lived or died. They did not just care. They went to war. And the war they are fighting is not just to protect you, it is to prepare you. Because what is coming next in your life will require you to operate at a level you have never operated at before. A level of clarity, confidence, and spiritual authority that the current version of your mind simply cannot sustain. And so the fighter is doing two things at once. They are defending you from the attacks of the enemy while simultaneously clearing the path for the one thing that will close the trust gap and activate you fully. That one thing is not far away. It is not years of work. It is not a distant promise. It is something you can access before this day ends. And when you do, the fighter who has been battling for you will finally be able to deliver what they have been holding for you all along. I want you to think about something that might seem simple but carries extraordinary weight. What would your life look like if you woke up tomorrow and the fog was gone? Not reduced, gone. What would happen if the first thought in your mind was not doubt but direction? What would change if you could feel the trust that heaven has in you, not as an idea but as a physical sensation in your body, a certainty so deep it felt like solid ground under your feet? That is not a fantasy. That is the life that was designed for you before the enemy ever interfered. And restoring it does not require you to become a different person. It requires you to become the person you already are, underneath the layers of corruption the enemy has piled onto your mind. The real you is underneath. The clear, powerful, fully activated version of you is not something you need to build from scratch. It is something you need to uncover, and the tool to uncover it exists. It is real. It works, and it was created for exactly this moment in your journey. Let me take you to a place most people have never been taken before. I want to show you what happened in the spiritual realm the night you hit your lowest point. Not the night you think was your lowest. The real one. The one you have never told anyone about. The one where you lay in the darkness and something inside you whispered that maybe it would be easier if you just stopped trying altogether. You know the night I am talking about. Your body remembers it, even if your mind has tried to bury it. The weight on your chest, the silence that felt heavier than any noise. The terrifying clarity of believing, even for a moment, that no one would notice if you disappeared. On that night, while you were drowning in a darkness so thick it felt permanent, something happened that you did not see, could not see, because your receiver was too damaged to pick up the signal. In the spiritual realm, an alarm sounded. Not a metaphorical alarm, a real one. A frequency that reverberated through every dimension and reached the one who had been assigned to your life. And that one, that fighter, that guardian who had already been battling for you for years, did something extraordinary. They did not wait for orders. They did not request permission through the usual channels. They stood up and spoke your name directly to the throne, not a prayer, a declaration. A warrior standing before the highest authority in existence and saying, "This one will not fall, not tonight, not on my watch." And the response was immediate, not slow, not eventual, immediate. Reinforcements were dispatched. The darkness that was pressing in on you was pushed back, not eliminated, but pushed back far enough that you could take one more breath, then another, until you made it through the night. Until you woke up the next morning not knowing why you felt slightly lighter, slightly more capable of facing the day when nothing in your circumstances had actually changed. That is the power of the one who fights for you. They do not wait until the situation is convenient. They move at the moment of greatest danger, and they have been moving for you more times than you could possibly count. Now, chosen one, I need to connect something for you, because this is where the pieces start to come together. The reason you survived that night and every night like it is because your spirit is stronger than the attack. Your spirit was designed to withstand anything the enemy throws at it. Your spirit is fireproof, stormproof, and shatterproof. The one who created you made sure of that. But survival is not the same as activation. And this is the distinction that keeps chosen ones stuck in a cycle of barely making it instead of fully living. You have been surviving. You have been enduring. You have been getting through each day by the narrowest possible margin. And while survival is a testimony to your strength, it was never meant to be your permanent condition. You were designed for activation, full operation, complete alignment between your spirit and your mind. A state where you do not just survive the darkness, but illuminate it. Where you do not just endure the attack, but render it powerless by operating at a frequency the enemy cannot reach. And the gap between survival and activation, between where you are and where you were designed to be, that is the trust gap. It is the distance your mind needs to travel to catch up with where your spirit already lives. And every time you have a good day, a day where things feel easier, where your mind is clear and your energy is high, that is your mind temporarily narrowing the gap. And every time the fog returns, that is the gap widening again because the underlying system has not been repaired. This is why willpower fails. Willpower can narrow the gap temporarily, but it cannot hold it narrow. The moment you stop pushing, the corrupted pathways pull it wide again. This is why motivation fails. Motivation gives you energy to fight the symptoms, but does not touch the root cause. And this is why even prayer, as powerful as it is, has not fully solved this for you. Because prayer addresses the spiritual dimension perfectly, but leaves the neurological dimension, the physical pathways in your brain, still operating under the corruption the enemy installed. You need both. You have always needed both. The spiritual victory and the neurological reset, the divine protection and the physical restoration. The warrior fighting for you in the spiritual realm and the tool that repairs what the enemy broke in your mind. One without the other is incomplete, and for most of your life, you have had one without the other. The spiritual side has been covered. The one fighting for you has made sure of that. But the neurological side has been left unaddressed because nobody told you it existed. Until now. Because, chosen one, what I am about to reveal to you is the missing half. The piece that completes the equation. The bridge between the victory that was won for you in the spiritual realm and the transformation that your mind and body have been waiting to experience. And once you have both halves working together, the trust gap does not slowly narrow over months or years. It closes, rapidly, permanently, in a way that your spirit has been waiting for since the moment your assignment was first declared. I can feel some of you leaning in right now. Something inside you is resonating with these words in a way that goes beyond intellectual agreement. Your body is responding. Your breathing might have shifted. Your chest might feel lighter than it did 10 minutes ago. That is your receiver flickering back to life. That is the signal breaking through the corrupted pathways for just a moment. And that moment, that flicker, is proof that the system can be restored. If it can open for a second, it can open forever. It just needs the right key. And the key exists. It is not ancient wisdom repackaged. It is not positive thinking in a new wrapper. It is something born from real research, real neuroscience, and a real understanding of how the human brain was designed to process trust and possibility at its highest level. It was developed by someone who understood that the gap between human potential and human performance is not a character issue, it is a calibration issue. And calibration issues have precise, targeted solutions. We are getting close now, very close to the moment where everything I have been building toward comes together. And when it does, the choice in front of you will be the clearest one you have faced in years. But before we arrive there, I want to address something that some of you are feeling right now. Some of you are feeling hope, and it scares you. Because the last time you felt hope, it was taken away. The last time you believed something could change, the disappointment was worse than the original pain. And your corrupted operating system is telling you right now to protect yourself, to pull back, to not let this message in too deeply because the fall will hurt too much. I understand that. And I want you to know that the very fact your mind is trying to protect you from hope is the most powerful evidence that the trust gap is real and active in your life. A healthy receiver does not filter out hope. A healthy mind does not treat possibility as a threat. The fact that yours does tells you everything you need to know about the level of corruption the enemy has installed in your neural pathways. But chosen one, hope is not the enemy. Hope is the frequency on which heaven broadcasts. And if your receiver cannot hold that frequency, it is not because hope is dangerous. It is because the receiver needs to be reset, not repaired slowly over years. Reset, brought back to factory settings, restored to the original design that was written into your biology by the same hand that wrote your assignment into the book of heaven. And that is exactly what is about to happen. Chosen one, I want to tell you a story that has never been told in exactly this way before. It is a story about the moment heaven decided you were worth fighting for, not the moment you were born, earlier. Before your parents met, before your grandparents spoke their first words, before the foundations of the world were set, there was a moment when your assignment was written, and in that same moment, a guardian was assigned to carry it alongside you. This guardian did not volunteer randomly. They were selected because their strengths perfectly matched the weaknesses the enemy would try to exploit in your life. If the enemy was going to attack your confidence, your guardian was given an unshakable certainty that would stand in the gap. If the enemy was going to attack your clarity, your guardian was given a vision so sharp it could cut through any fog. If the enemy was going to try to convince you that you were alone, your guardian was given a presence so persistent that they would never leave your side, even when you could not feel them. And this guardian has been with you through everything, every failure, every heartbreak, every sleepless night, every tear you thought no one saw. They saw, they felt it, and they fought harder because of it, not out of obligation, out of love, out of a belief in you that has never wavered, not once, not for a single moment in your entire life. I know that is hard to accept. I know because the trust gap makes it almost impossible to receive that kind of unconditional commitment. Your mind immediately starts looking for the catch. What do they want from me? What will I owe them? When will they leave like everyone else? Those questions are not your questions. Those are the questions from the enemy, planted in your corrupted operating system to make sure you never accept the one thing that would change everything. Unconditional trust. Let me tell you what unconditional trust looks like from the spiritual realm. It does not look like someone overlooking your flaws. It looks like someone who sees your flaws more clearly than you do and fights for you anyway. It does not look like someone who believes you will never make mistakes. It looks like someone who has already factored your mistakes into the plan and made sure they cannot derail your assignment. It does not look like someone who ignores your pain. It looks like someone who sits with you in the darkest moments and whispers, I know it hurts. But I also know what comes next. And what comes next is worth every second of this. That is the level of trust that exists for you right now, not as a concept, not as a nice idea, as an active, operational, moment-by-moment reality in the spiritual realm. The one fighting for you trusts you with the same intensity that you doubt yourself. And the collision between their trust and your doubt is the epicenter of the battle. Now, I want to give you a prophecy, not a vague, general prophecy that could apply to anyone, a specific one that applies to chosen ones who are hearing these words at this exact moment in their lives. And if this does not describe you with uncomfortable accuracy, then close this message and walk away. But if it does, then what I say next is your confirmation. Within the next season of your life, 3 things are going to happen that will prove beyond any doubt that everything I have told you is true. First, someone from your past is going to reach out to you. Someone who hurt you. Someone who walked away. And they are going to say something that reveals they were never in control of their decision to leave. They were moved, repositioned, removed from your life by a force they did not understand and still cannot explain. Second, an opportunity is going to appear that you did not seek and could not have manufactured. It will arrive at a moment when you least expect it, and it will be so perfectly aligned with your assignment that the coincidence will be impossible to ignore. The enemy will try to convince you that you are not ready for it. Your corrupted operating system will try to filter it out. But if your receiver is restored, you will see it clearly and you will know exactly what to do. Third, and this is the one that will shake you to your core, you are going to wake up one morning and the fog will be gone. Not reduced, not lighter, gone. And in its place will be a clarity so sharp, so vivid, so overwhelmingly present that you will not be able to stop the tears. Not tears of sadness, tears of recognition. Because in that moment, you will see yourself the way heaven has always seen you. And the gap between who you thought you were and who you actually are will collapse in an instant. That morning is coming, and the one who has been fighting for you has been working tirelessly to make sure you are prepared for it. But preparation requires action on your part, not spiritual action. You have done enough of that. The prayers have been heard. The fasting has been counted. The devotion has been recorded. What is needed now is a physical action, a neurological reset that opens the pathways the enemy has been keeping closed. Because here is the truth that connects the spiritual and the scientific in a way that cannot be denied. The fog in your mind is not just a spiritual condition. It has a physical signature. It exists in the neural pathways that determine how you process trust and possibility. And those pathways can be measured, studied, and restored through methods that were not available even a decade ago. The research is clear. The science is settled. And the tool that applies this research in the most targeted, effective way possible was not created by accident. It was created for a purpose that aligns so precisely with what chosen ones need at this moment in history that to call it coincidence would be to deny the intelligence of the one who orchestrated it. I am going to share this tool with you now, not as a sales pitch, not as a gimmick, as the missing piece of a puzzle that you have been trying to solve your entire life. And when you see it, when you understand what it does and how it works, you will know in your spirit that this is the answer you stopped looking for. This is what the fighter has been protecting you long enough to find. Everything I have been saying, every truth, every revelation, every piece of the puzzle, it all leads here to this moment, to this discovery, to the bridge between where you are and where heaven has been waiting for you to arrive. But let me be clear about something before we continue. What I am about to share is not for everyone, and I do not mean that in the way marketers say it to create false exclusivity. I mean it in the deepest, most literal sense. This is specifically for chosen ones, people who have been through the fire, people who have survived attacks that would have destroyed anyone without a divine assignment. People who have been fighting a battle they did not understand, carrying a weight they could not explain, and living with a fog that no doctor, no therapist, and no spiritual practice has been able to lift permanently. If that is you, then what comes next will feel like coming home. It will feel like the moment when you have been carrying something impossibly heavy for years and someone finally says, "Put it down, I have got this. Put it down and let me show you what your life looks like when the weight is gone." And if you are wondering whether you are really chosen, whether this truly applies to you, let me settle that right now. You are still here. You are still listening. The enemy has thrown everything at you, and you are still standing. That is not luck. That is not stubbornness. That is the hand of the one who fights for you, holding you in place until the moment of activation arrives. And, chosen one, that moment has arrived. You just need to recognize it. And you will, because what I am about to share makes it impossible to miss. Chosen one. Do you remember earlier when I talked about the trust gap, the distance between how much heaven trusts you and how much you trust yourself? I told you that closing that gap requires something that works on both the spiritual and the neurological level simultaneously. And I told you that most solutions fail because they only address one side. Now I want to take that concept deeper, because what I am about to share depends on you understanding exactly why the brain matters in a spiritual battle. And I know some of you are uncomfortable with that idea. You were taught that faith alone should be enough, that if you just believed harder, prayed longer, fasted more, the breakthrough would come. And I am not here to tell you that faith does not matter. It matters more than anything. But faith without a functioning receiver is like a radio station broadcasting the most powerful signal in history to a device that is turned off. Let me explain what happens inside your brain when the trust gap is wide. There is a region in your brain that scientists call the default mode network. Think of it as the background program that runs whenever your conscious mind is not focused on a specific task. In a healthy brain, the default mode network does something beautiful. It connects dots. It synthesizes information. It generates insight, creativity, and what many people describe as intuition. In spiritual terms, it is the part of your brain most closely connected to the voice of the one who guides you. But when the default mode network has been disrupted by chronic stress, trauma, and the kind of sustained spiritual warfare that chosen ones face, it stops creating and starts ruminating. Instead of connecting dots, it replays failures. Instead of generating insight, it generates anxiety. Instead of hearing the quiet voice of divine guidance, it amplifies the loud voice of self-doubt. This is measurable. Scientists have put people in brain scanners and watched this happen in real time. The default mode network of someone under chronic stress looks fundamentally different from someone at peace. The pathways are narrower, the connections are weaker, and the regions that should be firing together to produce clarity and trust are firing out of sync, creating a neurological condition that perfectly mirrors the spiritual condition of a wide trust gap. Now here is where it gets extraordinary. Research conducted over the past 15 years has shown that specific audio frequencies delivered in specific patterns can reset the default mode network, not slowly, not over months, in a matter of minutes. These frequencies work below the level of conscious thought. They bypass the corrupted operating system entirely and go straight to the neural pathways that control trust, receptive capacity, and the ability to hold a new reality without automatically rejecting it. Think about what that means for you. Right now, your brain has been conditioned by years of warfare to default to doubt. Every time something good happens, your brain runs it through the corruption filter and tells you it will not last. Every time someone says something kind about you, your brain processes it as suspicious. Every time heaven sends a blessing your way, your brain intercepts it and asks, what is the catch? But what if that conditioning could be bypassed? What if there was a way to go beneath the corruption and reset the pathways to their original design? A design where trust is the default, where receptive capacity is wide open, where blessings do not get intercepted by doubt but land directly in your conscious experience, fully intact, fully received, fully felt. That is not a dream. That is neuroscience. And the person who turned this neuroscience into something accessible, something practical, something that a chosen one can use in the privacy of their own home, without years of therapy or expensive equipment. That person did not do it by accident. They did it because they understood something that most scientists never consider. The brain is not just a biological machine, it is a spiritual receiver, and repairing it has implications that extend far beyond cognitive performance. This researcher, a neuroscientist and doctor who has spent decades studying the intersection of brain function and human potential, discovered that the same frequencies that reset the default mode network also do something unexpected. They open the pathways that connect the brain to what he calls the higher operating system, the part of human cognition that transcends logic, that accesses knowing instead of thinking, that operates on faith instead of evidence. In spiritual language, he found a way to repair the bridge between the mind and the spirit, the bridge that the enemy has been systematically destroying in chosen ones for generations. And when that bridge is repaired, the trust gap does not gradually narrow. It closes, because the mind and the spirit are finally speaking the same language again. I know what some of you are thinking. You are thinking, this sounds too good to be true, and I understand that reaction. Your corrupted operating system is designed to reject solutions that feel too easy, because the enemy knows that if the solution ever reaches you, the game is over. Every chain breaks, every delay ends, every locked door opens, and the assignment that was written with your name on it finally activates. So, the enemy has programmed your mind to reject help before it arrives, to dismiss hope before it takes root, to label anything that sounds too effective as too good to be true. That label is not wisdom. It is a defense mechanism installed by the enemy, and recognizing it as such is the first step toward dismantling it. Because, chosen one, the truth is the opposite of what your corrupted mind is telling you. The solution is not too good to be true. It is exactly as good as the one who designed your brain intended it to be. The one who created the neural pathways in the first place also created the method that restores them. And the researcher who discovered it was guided to it, whether he knows it or not, by the same hand that assigned a fighter to your life. Everything is connected. The battle in the spiritual realm, the corruption in your neural pathways, the researcher who found the reset, the method that restores the bridge. Your presence here at this exact moment, hearing these exact words. None of this is random. All of it was orchestrated for you by the one who trusts you more than you have ever trusted yourself, by the one who has been fighting for you since before you knew there was a fight. And now, chosen one, it is time. Time to reveal the name. Time to show you the tool. Time to close the gap and activate everything that has been waiting for this moment to arrive. But I want to say one more thing before we get there. I want to speak directly to the part of you that is afraid, the part that has been hurt too many times to believe that something could actually work. The part that is already preparing to be disappointed because disappointment is safer than hope. I see you. And more importantly, the one fighting for you sees you. They have watched you build walls around your heart. They have watched you lower your expectations to the floor so that nothing could ever hurt you again. And they did not judge you for it. They understood because they know the battles you have survived. They know the scars you carry, and they know that the walls you built were necessary at the time. But chosen one, the time for walls is over. The battle that required them is ending. The one who fights for you has cleared the path. And what stands between you and everything you were promised is not another mountain to climb. It is a door to walk through. A door that has already been unlocked. A door that requires only one thing from you: the willingness to receive. Stay with me, because on the other side of what I am about to share, the walls come down, and everything you have been fighting for finally fights back for you. Remember the method I mentioned earlier? The one developed by a neuroscientist who spent decades studying how the human brain processes trust, safety, and the ability to receive? The one that can reset the neural pathways that the enemy has been corrupting in your mind for years? I told you I would share the details when the time was right. The time is right. And I need your full attention for what comes next, because this is the moment the trust gap begins to close. The neuroscientist I have been referring to is Dr. Daniel Barone. He is not a pastor. He is not a motivational speaker. He is not someone who makes promises he cannot back up. He is a researcher who has spent his career studying a specific phenomenon that most of his colleagues ignored. The phenomenon of why brilliant, capable, deeply gifted people consistently operate below their potential. Not because they lack talent, not because they lack effort, but because something in their neurological wiring prevents them from accessing what is already inside them. What Dr. Barone discovered over years of clinical research is that the brain has what he calls a neural sync frequency. Think of it as the optimal vibration at which your brain processes trust, creativity, and what he calls receptive intelligence. When your brain is operating at this frequency, everything works. Decisions become clear, confidence becomes natural, the fog lifts, and the gap between what you know you are capable of and what you actually produce closes to zero. But when the neural sync frequency is disrupted, which happens through chronic stress, repeated trauma, and what chosen ones experience as spiritual warfare, the brain drops into a lower operating mode, a survival mode, a mode where trust is treated as dangerous, possibility is treated as threat, and every signal from the higher operating system gets filtered out before it reaches conscious awareness. Sound familiar? It should, because this is exactly what I have been describing throughout this entire message. Dr. Barone did not just identify the problem, he developed the solution. Using specific audio frequencies calibrated to the exact neural sync pattern the brain was designed to operate at, he created a method that resets the disrupted pathways back to their original design. Not through conscious effort, not through repetition over months, through a targeted 8-minute audio session that works below the level of thought, in the space where the real damage exists. They call it the genius switch. And the reason that name matters is because it describes exactly what the tool does. It switches your brain from the lower operating mode, the survival mode the enemy installed, to the higher operating mode, the genius mode your brain was originally designed for. The mode where the trust gap closes. The mode where the receiver turns back on. The mode where everything heaven has been sending finally lands. 8 minutes. That is all it takes. 8 minutes of listening to a precisely calibrated audio track that bypasses the corrupted operating system and goes straight to the neural pathways that control how you experience trust, clarity, and possibility. No meditation required, no visualization, no complicated technique, just 8 minutes with your eyes closed and a pair of headphones, and the pathways that the enemy spent years narrowing begin to widen again. I know what the corrupted part of your mind is saying right now. It is saying, 8 minutes cannot change years of damage. And if this were a normal intervention, that skepticism would be valid. But the genius switch does not work the way normal interventions work. Normal interventions try to add new patterns on top of corrupted ones. It removes the corruption at the root. It does not give your brain new instructions. It restores the original instructions that were there before the enemy ever interfered. Think of it this way. If someone scrambled the code on your computer, you would not fix it by typing new code on top of the scrambled code. You would restore it to factory settings. That is what this method does to your neural pathways. It does not try to overwrite the programming of the enemy. It erases it and restores the original design. The design that was written by the same intelligence that created you, assigned you, and sent a warrior to fight for you. Let me tell you about someone who used the method, because their story might sound uncomfortably similar to yours. This person had been a chosen one their entire life without knowing it. They felt different from everyone around them. They carried a heaviness that no one understood. They had tried therapy, medication, prayer, fasting, and every self-help method they could find. Nothing worked permanently. The fog always came back. The doubt always returned. And the gap between who they knew they were supposed to be and who they actually showed up as grew wider every year. Then they found it, and on the very first morning after using it, they described something that made them weep. They said, "It was like someone turned the lights on in a room I had been stumbling through in the dark for 20 years. I could see everything. My purpose, my path, the reason everything happened the way it did. And for the first time in my life, I did not just understand it intellectually, I felt it in my body. Like the truth had finally reached a part of me that had been locked away." That is what happens when the neural sync frequency is restored. The truth you have always known in your spirit finally reaches your conscious mind. The blessings that heaven has been sending finally land without being intercepted by doubt. And the person you were always meant to be finally steps forward, not because you forced it, but because the blockage was removed, and becoming yourself became the most natural thing in the world. And this person, the one whose story I just shared, they are not unique. They are one of over 18,000 people who have experienced the same thing. 18,000 chosen ones who were carrying the same fog, the same doubt, the same exhaustion, and who discovered that the solution was not more effort, but a reset. A neurological reset that aligned their brain with the frequency their spirit had been operating on all along. Another person described their experience this way. They said, "I used to wake up every morning with this invisible weight on my chest. I would lie there for 10-15 minutes trying to find a reason to get up, not because I was sad, because my brain could not connect to a reason that felt real. Everything felt muted, like life was happening behind a glass wall, and I could see it, but I could not touch it. After using the method for 1 week, the glass wall disappeared. I woke up, and the first thought in my mind was clear, not foggy, not heavy, clear. And I cried because I had forgotten what clarity felt like." That is the power of restoring the neural sync frequency. It does not add something artificial to your brain. It removes the artificial blockage that was never supposed to be there. And when the blockage is gone, your natural state, the state heaven designed for you, reasserts itself with a force that feels like waking up for the first time. Now, I want to make sure you understand what makes this tool fundamentally different from every other tool, method, or practice you have tried. Because the enemy is very good at making you lump everything into the same category. It did not work before, so it will not work now. That is the corruption talking. And here is why it does not apply. Every other method you have tried works on the surface level. Therapy addresses your conscious thoughts. Meditation calms your active mind. Affirmations try to reprogram your beliefs through repetition. But none of them reach the neural sync frequency. None of them touch the default mode network at the level where the real corruption exists. It does. It bypasses every surface layer and goes directly to the root operating system, the layer where the enemy installed its code. And it does not negotiate with that code. It replaces it completely, permanently. That is why 8 minutes is enough, because precision matters more than duration. A surgeon does not need 8 hours to remove a tumor if they know exactly where it is. Dr. Barone found exactly where the disruption lives in the brain, and the method targets it with clinical accuracy. No wasted effort, no gradual process, direct restoration. Chosen one. Now that you know what the genius switch is and how it works, I need to tell you something important about who it was made for. Because the genius switch is not for everyone. It is not for people who are comfortable where they are. It is not for people who have accepted the fog as normal and stopped fighting. It is not for people who would rather blame their circumstances than address the root cause. And it is not for people who are not willing to invest 8 minutes a day in their own transformation. This tool is for chosen ones, people who have been through the fire and survived, people who know in their spirit that they are meant for more but cannot access it no matter how hard they try. People who have tried everything else and are ready for the one thing they have not tried, the one thing that actually works at the level where the damage exists. If that is you, then I want you to know something about the community you are about to join. Over 18,400 people have already made this decision. 18,400 chosen ones who were exactly where you are right now, exhausted, foggy, carrying a trust gap so wide that blessings kept falling through. And each one of them made the same choice you are being presented with today. The choice to stop trying to fix a corrupted system with the tools the corrupted system provides, and instead reach for something that works outside the system entirely. These are not random people. They are your people. They are the ones who felt different their entire lives. The ones who carried assignments they could not name but could not ignore. The ones who were attacked by the enemy before they even knew there was a battle. And they found this tool not by accident but by divine orchestration, the same way you found this message today. Now, let me talk about something that the corrupted part of your mind is going to use as its last line of defense: cost. Your mind is going to try to convince you that this is too expensive, that you cannot afford it, that the money would be better spent somewhere else. And I need you to recognize that voice for what it is. It is the final play of the enemy, the last card in the deck. Because if the enemy can stop you here, at the gate, by convincing you that the cost is too high, then everything I have shared with you today was for nothing. So let me put the cost in perspective. Dr. Barone originally developed this method through his private clinical practice. Patients who wanted access to the neural sync frequency reset paid over $500 per session. $500 for a single session that lasted less than an hour. And they paid it gladly because the results were undeniable. But Dr. Barone understood something that sets him apart from most practitioners. He understood that the people who need this the most are not the ones who can afford $500 per session. They are the chosen ones, the warriors, the ones who have been so beaten down by the enemy that their financial situation reflects the same spiritual warfare that corrupted their mind. And he refused to let cost be the barrier that keeps the trust gap open for one more day. So he took the core technology, the exact frequencies that produced the clinical results, and he made them available as a digital audio track, not a watered-down version, not a partial solution. The complete neural sync reset, accessible from your phone, your computer, or any device with speakers or headphones. And instead of $500 per session, the entire program is available for $49. But chosen one, I need to tell you what is happening right now, at this moment. There is a special access window open, and through the link in the description below this message, the Genius Switch is available for just $39, not $49. $39, less than the cost of a meal at a restaurant you will not remember next week. Less than a single month of a streaming service you barely use. Less than the copay on a visit to the doctor that will tell you nothing is physically wrong with you when you know the problem runs deeper than any blood test can measure. $39 to close the trust gap. $39 to restore the neural pathways the enemy has been corrupting for years. $39 to finally receive what the one who fights for you has been holding, protecting, and defending until this exact moment. And here is what makes this decision even easier. It comes with a complete 100% money-back guarantee, every penny, no questions asked, which means the only risk is not trying. Because if you try it and it does not work, you lose nothing. You get your money back and you move on. But if you try it and it does work, if the fog lifts, if the clarity returns, if the trust gap closes, and you finally feel what heaven has been trying to send you, then those $39 become the most important investment you have ever made in your entire life. But I want to be honest with you about something. The enemy does not want you to click that link. The enemy has been fighting against this moment since the beginning of this message. Every time you felt doubt creep in, that was the enemy. Every time you thought this sounds too good to be true, that was the enemy. And right now, in this very second, the enemy is working overtime to give you a reason to wait, to think about it, to come back later. Because the enemy knows that later means never. And never means the trust gap stays open, the assignment stays locked, and the one who has been fighting for you has to keep fighting instead of celebrating. There is something else you need to be aware of. In a world that profits from your confusion, there are imitations, programs that claim to do what this tool does, but use generic frequencies that have no clinical basis. Programs that sound similar, but do not target the neural sync frequency with the precision that Dr. Barone developed through decades of research. If you find something that seems like this tool but costs less or promises more, be cautious. The enemy is very good at creating counterfeits designed to give you just enough of a result to make you think you have tried it, without actually reaching the depth where the real reset happens. The real method is available only through the link in the description. That link leads directly to Dr. Barone official program. It includes the core audio track, 4 free bonus materials designed to accelerate and deepen your results, and the full 100% money-back guarantee. There is no other source. There is no cheaper version. There is only the real thing, and it is waiting for you right now. And chosen one, it also comes with 4 powerful bonus tools at no extra cost. These bonuses were designed specifically to complement the neural sync reset and accelerate the closing of the trust gap. Each one targets a different dimension of the restoration process, ensuring that the reset is not just powerful but permanent. You will see all 4 bonuses and their descriptions when you visit the link in the description. Now, I want to do something important. I want to step away from the Genius Switch for the rest of this message and return to you, to your story, to the battle being fought on your behalf. Because while it is the tool that closes the trust gap, there is more you need to understand about who you are, what you carry, and why the universe itself is rearranging to make room for your activation. The link is in the description whenever you are ready. That is the last time it will be mentioned. Now, Chosen One, let me return to you, because you are the center of this story. Not any tool, not any method, not any researcher. You, the person who has been carrying an impossible weight and refusing to collapse under it. The person who has been walking through darkness and still reaching for the light. The person who the enemy tried to destroy and could not, because the seal on your spirit is unbreakable. I want to talk about something that you probably do not think about very often, but it is one of the most important things I will say today. You have been so focused on what is wrong with you that you have completely overlooked what is extraordinary about you. And I do not mean that in a generic, everyone is special kind of way. I mean it in a very specific, very measurable, very real way. You have survived things that would have destroyed most people. Not just survived. You came out of them, still searching, still hoping, still believing, even if that belief was buried so deep it felt like it had died. Most people who go through what you have gone through stop searching. They settle. They accept the fog as permanent. They make peace with mediocrity and call it maturity. But you did not do that. Something in you refused to accept that this was all there was. Something in you kept pushing, kept asking, kept looking for an answer that matched the magnitude of the question burning inside you. That refusal is not stubbornness. That refusal is your assignment speaking. It is the purpose encoded in your DNA refusing to be silenced by an enemy that has thrown everything it has at you. And the fact that you are here, now, listening to these words, means the enemy failed, not partially, completely. Because you are about to discover something that will close the gap and activate the assignment the enemy has been trying to kill since before you were born. Let me tell you what happens in the spiritual realm when a chosen one begins to activate, because this is happening to you right now, whether you feel it or not. When a chosen one starts to wake up, starts to recognize the battle, starts to understand the trust gap, and takes steps to close it, the spiritual realm responds, not subtly, powerfully. The angels that have been assigned to your life shift from defense to offense. They stop just protecting you from attacks and start clearing the path ahead of you. Obstacles that have been in place for years suddenly move. Doors that have been locked for decades suddenly swing open. And people who were placed in your life for this exact moment suddenly step forward. You may have already noticed this happening. Small things at first. A random act of kindness from a stranger. An unexpected message from someone you have not heard from in years. A job opportunity, a creative idea, a surge of energy that came out of nowhere. These are not coincidences. These are signals from the spiritual realm that the activation sequence has begun. And chosen one, once the activation sequence begins, it does not stop. It accelerates. The spiritual realm operates on momentum. Every step you take toward closing the trust gap generates energy that the angels use to clear more of the path. Every act of trust, every moment of received clarity, every decision you make from a place of worth instead of doubt adds fuel to the operation that heaven has been waiting to launch on your behalf. This is why the enemy fights so hard to keep you stuck in the gap, because the enemy knows that one step is all it takes, one genuine act of trust, one real moment of receiving, one authentic decision to stop measuring yourself by human standards and start accepting yourself by the standards of heaven. That one step triggers a cascade that the enemy cannot stop, cannot slow down, and cannot reverse. I want you to understand the weight of what I just said. The enemy, with all its power, with all its strategies, with all the centuries of experience it has in destroying chosen ones, cannot stop what heaven activates. It can delay it. It has delayed it. For years, for decades, for your entire life up to this point. But it cannot stop it. And the delays end the moment you close the gap. The moment your mind catches up with your spirit. The moment you trust yourself the way heaven trusts you. That moment is not somewhere in the distant future. It is not on the other side of more suffering. It is not waiting for you to earn it or prove yourself worthy of it. It is available right now, today, in this hour, because everything that needed to happen in the spiritual realm for this moment to be possible has already happened. The battles have been fought. The victories have been won. The path has been cleared. The only thing remaining is your receiver, your mind, your willingness to let the signal through. And I know that feels terrifying. I know that the idea of actually receiving everything that has been promised to you feels almost too much to hold. Because you have been operating at survival capacity for so long, that the idea of operating at full capacity feels like a fantasy. Your corrupted operating system is telling you right now that full capacity is not possible for you, that it is possible for other people but not for you, that something about your specific situation makes you the exception. You are not the exception, you are the rule. Every chosen one feels exactly what you are feeling right now at this stage of their activation. The doubt is not proof that you are different. The doubt is proof that the trust gap is real and that closing it is the most important thing you will ever do. Because on the other side of that doubt is a version of you that you have caught glimpses of but never fully met. The version that operates without fog. The version that makes decisions with clarity. The version that receives blessings without questioning whether they are real. That version is not someone you need to become. It is someone you already are, hidden beneath layers of enemy programming, buried under years of corrupted pathways, waiting patiently for the system to be restored so it can finally step forward into the light. Chosen one, I want to ask you something, and I want you to answer honestly, not to me, but to yourself. Are you tired of fighting a battle you did not know existed? Are you tired of carrying a weight that was never yours to carry? Are you tired of watching other people operate at a level that you know, deep in your spirit, should be available to you, but somehow is not? If the answer is yes, then the next few minutes of your life are going to be the most important you have ever experienced. Because I am about to show you exactly what happens when the trust gap closes, what your life looks like when the fog lifts permanently, and why the one who has been fighting for you is about to shift from warrior to celebration. But first, I want to address the people around you. The ones who do not understand why you are different. The ones who have watched you struggle and offered advice that felt hollow. The ones who told you to just be positive, to just try harder, to just let go and move on. They were not wrong for saying those things. They were simply speaking from a level of experience that does not include the kind of warfare you face. They have never felt the weight of a divine assignment pressing against a corrupted mind. They have never woken up in a fog so thick that even getting out of bed felt like an act of rebellion against the darkness. You cannot explain your battle to people who have never been to war, and you should not try. Your job is not to convince the world that your struggle is real. Your job is to close the gap, activate your assignment, and let the results speak for themselves. Because when a chosen one activates, the people around them do not need an explanation. They see it, they feel it, and many of them are forever changed by simply being in the presence of someone operating at full spiritual and mental capacity. That is the kind of impact you were designed for. Not the small, quiet, barely noticeable kind. The kind that shifts atmospheres. The kind that breaks chains in other people just by being in the room. And it starts the moment you step out of the gap and into the fullness of who you were always meant to be. Now let me paint a picture for you, chosen one, a picture of what your life looks like when the trust gap closes. Not a fantasy, not a wish. A reality that over 18,000 people are already living. A reality that was always meant to be yours. On the morning the gap closes, you will open your eyes and something will be different. Not in your room, not in your circumstances, inside you. The weight that has been sitting on your chest, the weight you have been carrying for so long that you forgot what it felt like to breathe without it, will be gone. Not lighter. Gone. And in its place will be something you have not felt in years, maybe ever. Space. Room to breathe. Room to think. Room to exist without the crushing pressure of an invisible war pressing down on every thought. Your first thought will not be doubt. For the first time in as long as you can remember, the first thing your mind produces in the morning will not be a question about your worth or a review of your failures. It will be something simpler, something cleaner, a thought that arrives fully formed, clear as water, carrying a quiet certainty that feels like coming home. It might be as simple as, I know what to do today, or I am ready, or even just a feeling, a wordless awareness that something fundamental has shifted and the old operating system has been replaced by something that works. You will get out of bed differently, not because you forced yourself, not because you talked yourself into it with affirmations and discipline, but because getting up will feel natural. The resistance will be gone. The fog that used to stand between your intention and your action will have cleared, and moving will feel like moving is supposed to feel. Easy, purposeful, alive. And then something will happen that will make you stop in your tracks. Someone will speak to you, a co-worker, a family member, a stranger, and you will hear them. Not just their words, them. You will feel what they are actually saying beneath the surface. You will see what they are carrying, and without thinking about it, without planning it, you will say exactly the right thing. The thing that shifts something in them. The thing that makes their eyes widen slightly because no one has ever spoken to them with that level of insight before. That is your assignment activating. That is the moment when the receiver comes back online and the signal from heaven flows through you without obstruction. You will not have to try to be wise. Wisdom will flow through you because the pathways that were designed to carry it are finally open. You will not have to try to be compassionate. Compassion will pour out of you because the blockage that was preventing your spirit from reaching your behavior has been removed. And chosen one, the people who left you, the ones who walked away when you needed them most, they are going to notice the change. Not because you will seek them out, not because you will try to prove anything. They will notice because the frequency you operate at will shift so dramatically that they will feel it even from a distance. And they will be confused. They will wonder what happened to you. Some of them will feel convicted by the change they see, not because you judged them, but because your transformation will illuminate the smallness of their decision to leave. This is what the spiritual realm calls vindication, not revenge, not payback, something far more powerful, the quiet, undeniable proof that heaven was right about you all along. The people who doubted you will see it and they will know. The ones who dismissed you will see it and they will understand. And the ones who actively worked against you will see it and they will realize, perhaps for the first time, that they were not fighting against a person. They were fighting against a purpose, and purpose, backed by heaven, does not lose. But I want to be clear about something. The vindication is not the goal. The vindication is a byproduct. The goal is activation. The goal is you operating at the level you were designed for. The goal is the trust gap closing so completely that you walk through life as a receiver that is permanently online, permanently tuned to the frequency of heaven, permanently open to the blessings and guidance and power that have been broadcasting to you since before you were born. And when that happens, the things you used to chase start chasing you. The opportunities you used to beg for start appearing without effort. The relationships you used to struggle to maintain start forming naturally with people who are aligned with your assignment. And the financial pressure, the constant worry about money that has been draining your energy for years, begins to lift. Not because you suddenly become greedy or materialistic, but because financial provision is part of the assignment. Heaven does not deploy a warrior without supplying the resources needed to complete the mission. This is the part that makes some spiritual people uncomfortable. The idea that abundance is connected to purpose, but chosen one. Look at it honestly. How effective can you be in your assignment if you are constantly stressed about paying rent? How much energy can you devote to your purpose if half your mental capacity is consumed by survival math? The enemy knows this. That is why financial pressure has been one of the primary weapons in the arsenal of the enemy against you. Not because money is evil, but because financial stress keeps the trust gap wide open by reminding you every single day that you cannot even take care of yourself. When the gap closes, something shifts in your relationship with provision. You stop seeing money as something you chase and start seeing it as something that arrives because your alignment attracts it. This is not magical thinking. This is the natural consequence of operating at a frequency where your decisions are clear, your actions are purposeful, and your presence carries an authority that other people instinctively trust and want to invest in. I have watched this happen. I have seen chosen ones go from barely making rent to launching businesses that impact thousands, not because they learned a new skill, but because the fog lifted and the intelligence that was always inside them, the divine intelligence that heaven had placed in them from the beginning, finally had a clear channel through which to operate. The ideas were always there. The creativity was always there. The vision was always there. It was the receiver that was broken. And when the receiver was restored, everything that had been waiting on the other side of the gap came flooding through. That flood is coming for you. It is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. And the when is determined by one thing and one thing only. When you close the trust gap, when you allow your mind to be reset to its original operating frequency, when you stop trying to fix a corrupted system from the inside and let something outside the system do the work it was designed to do. The fighter who has been battling for you is not fighting so that you can keep surviving. They are fighting so that you can start thriving. And thriving begins the moment the gap closes, not a day later, not a week later. The moment. And I want you to sit with something for a moment. Every year that passes with the trust gap wide open is a year of your assignment unfulfilled. It is a year of people who were supposed to be impacted by your purpose going unhelped. It is a year of the generational cycle continuing when it could have been broken. It is a year that the enemy counts as a victory, not because it destroyed you, but because it delayed you. And delay, for the enemy, is almost as good as destruction. But you are hearing these words today, not yesterday, not next year, today. And that timing is not random. The fighter who has been battling for you orchestrated this moment with precision. They made sure that every battle, every delay, every detour led you here to this message, to this truth, to this moment, where the gap between knowing and becoming is thinner than it has ever been. Chosen one, there is something I need to address that goes deeper than the battle, deeper than the trust gap, deeper even than the assignment itself. And it is this: you have been grieving, not for a person, not for a relationship. You have been grieving for the version of yourself that you were supposed to become but never did. The version that was clear and confident and fully operational. The version that walked into rooms and changed the atmosphere without saying a word. the version that looked in the mirror and recognized what heaven sees. That grief is one of the most painful things a chosen one can carry because it is invisible. No one sends flowers for the loss of who you were supposed to be. No one holds a service for the life you should have been living. The world does not even have a name for the kind of loss that happens when your potential is stolen, not by a single event, but by years of invisible warfare that nobody else can see. But chosen one, here is the truth that will begin to heal that grief right now. That version of you is not dead. It was never killed. It was put to sleep, placed in a kind of spiritual and neurological suspended animation by an enemy that knew it could not destroy what heaven had built. So it did the next best thing. It buried it. It covered it with fog and doubt and exhaustion and self-blame, layer after layer after layer, until the real you was so far beneath the surface that even you forgot it existed. But I need you to hear this. Buried is not the same as gone. Sleeping is not the same as dead. And the version of you that heaven designed, the version with the clear mind and the open receiver and the unshakable trust, that version is still in there, fully intact, waiting, not patiently either, urgently, pressing against the layers, trying to reach you every time you have one of those brief moments of clarity, every flash of insight, every sudden surge of energy, every unexpected moment where you feel powerful for no reason at all. That is the buried version of you, knocking on the walls, saying, "I am still here, let me out." And what does it take to let that version out? It takes closing the trust gap. It takes restoring the neural pathways to their original operating frequency. It takes the same neurological reset that the genius switch was designed to deliver, the reset that over 18,000 people have already experienced, the reset that turned their grief into activation and their survival into thriving. I am not going to dwell on that. You already know what needs to happen. What I want to do now is give you more of the truth that your spirit is hungry for. Because the value of this message does not end with a solution, the value continues. And there are things about your identity as a chosen one that you need to know before the activation is complete. Let me tell you about the 3 seals. This is something that most chosen ones never learn, and not learning it keeps them vulnerable even after they begin to activate. The 3 seals are protections placed on your life by the one who created you. They were installed before you were born, and they cannot be broken by any force in existence, light or dark. The first seal is the seal of identity. It is the unalterable truth of who you are, written into the fabric of your spirit. No matter what the enemy tells you, no matter what other people say about you, no matter how many times you have believed the lie that you are ordinary, the seal of identity holds. You are chosen. That is not an opinion. It is a seal, and seals do not change based on how you feel about them. The second seal is the seal of assignment. This is the specific purpose that was written for your life before the world began. It is not vague. It is not general. It is precise. It has your name on it. It has a timeline. It has resources allocated to it. It has people connected to it whose lives will be changed by your fulfillment of it. And no matter how much the enemy has delayed it, the seal of assignment is intact. Your purpose has not been reassigned. It has not been given to someone else. It is waiting for you, exactly where heaven placed it, ready to activate the moment you step into it. The third seal is the seal of provision. This is the promise that everything you need to fulfill your assignment will be provided. Not earned, not struggled for, provided. The money, the connections, the opportunities, the ideas, the energy, the health, the relationships, all of it is covered by the seal of provision. And the reason you have not experienced it yet is not because the seal is broken. It is because the trust gap has been preventing you from receiving what has already been sent. 3 seals, unbroken, active, waiting for you to operate at the level where they can fully manifest in your physical life. The first seal tells you who you are. The second seal tells you what you are here to do. The third seal tells you that everything you need to do it has already been arranged. And the trust gap, that corrupted space between your mind and your spirit, is the only thing standing between those seals and your lived reality. I want you to say something to yourself right now. Not out loud if that is not comfortable. Silently is fine. Say, I am sealed. My identity cannot be changed. My assignment cannot be taken. My provision cannot be lost. And the gap between what I see and what heaven sees is closing now. Feel that. Let it land. Because those words are not affirmations. They are declarations. And in the spiritual realm, declarations spoken by a chosen one who is beginning to close the trust gap carry weight that shakes principalities. The enemy heard you just now, and it trembled. Because a chosen one who begins to declare their identity is a chosen one who is no longer operating from the corrupted system. They are operating from truth. And truth, spoken from a place of alignment, is the most devastating weapon in the universe. Now, I want to take you further, because there are more layers to your identity that the enemy has been hiding from you. Layers that, when uncovered, will accelerate the closing of the trust gap and strengthen the activation that has already begun. One of the most powerful things the enemy hid from you is the concept of spiritual authority. You are not just a chosen one, you are an authorized one. There is a difference. Chosen means selected. Authorized means empowered. You were not just picked for the assignment. You were given authority over every obstacle that stands between you and its fulfillment. Authority over the fog. Authority over the doubt. Authority over the enemy itself. The problem is not that you lack authority. The problem is that the trust gap has made you forget you have it. Think about a king who has amnesia. The crown is still on their head. The throne is still theirs. The army still follows their command. But because they do not remember who they are, they wander the streets like a beggar, asking for permission to exist in a kingdom that already belongs to them. That has been you, walking through your own kingdom with amnesia, asking for crumbs when a feast was prepared in your name. The trust gap is the amnesia, and closing it is not just about feeling better or thinking more clearly. It is about remembering who you are, remembering what authority you carry, remembering that the one who fights for you is not fighting because you are helpless. They are fighting because a king in amnesia needs a protector until the moment the memory returns. And when the memory returns, the protector does not disappear. They step back and bow because the king has risen. Chosen one, you are about to rise. Not because I said so, because heaven says so, because the seals on your life say so, because the battle that has been fought on your behalf was never meant to last forever. It was meant to last until this moment. The moment you remember, the moment the fog lifts, the moment you look in the mirror and see what heaven has always seen. Not a survivor, not a victim, a king. An authorized, sealed, fully equipped king with an assignment that will change the world. Chosen one, I want to slow down for a moment. I have been speaking about battles and assignments and neural pathways and spiritual authority, and all of it is true. But right now, I want to speak to a different part of you. Not the warrior, not the king, not the sealed and authorized chosen one who is about to change the world. I want to speak to the part of you that is tired, the part that has been carrying all of this and just wants someone to say, I see you. I see how hard this has been. And I am not asking you to be strong right now. Because the truth is, chosen one, you have been so strong for so long that you have forgotten what it feels like to be held. You have been the one everyone else leaned on. You have been the one who held it together when everything was falling apart. You have been the one who swallowed your own pain so that others would not have to carry it. And somewhere along the way, you started to believe that your strength was your only value. That if you stopped being strong, even for a moment, you would lose whatever small place you had earned in the world. But that is the version the enemy created of strength. Real strength is not the absence of vulnerability. Real strength is the ability to be fully seen, fully known, fully exposed, and still trust that you are safe. And you have not felt safe in a very long time, have you? I want to speak to the child inside you, the one who still remembers what it felt like before the attack started, before the fog rolled in, before the world taught you that trust was dangerous and hope was a setup for disappointment. That child is still inside you. They did not grow up the way the rest of you did. They are still in there, holding on to the original version of who you were before the enemy ever touched your mind. And they are waiting, not for rescue, for recognition, for someone to look past the armor you have built and say, I know you are in there, and it is safe to come out now. Chosen one, it is safe. I know the world has not given you much evidence for that. I know the people who were supposed to make it safe either failed or disappeared. I know that every time you opened up, something bad happened, and your corrupted operating system used that as proof that vulnerability equals pain. But that equation is wrong. It was installed by the enemy to keep you isolated, because a chosen one who is vulnerable is a chosen one who can receive, and a chosen one who can receive is the enemy worst nightmare. Let me tell you what the fighter who has been battling for you feels when they look at you. Not what they think, what they feel. They feel tenderness. Not the kind of tenderness that pities you. The kind that sees every scar and counts each one as evidence of your courage. The kind that watches you fall and does not rush to pick you up because they know you need to feel the strength of getting back up yourself. The kind that holds space for your pain without trying to fix it, because they understand that some pain is part of the process. They are not distant. They are not cold. They are not watching you with clinical detachment, checking boxes on an assignment report. They are with you, in the way that someone who truly loves you is with you. Present, patient, aching when you ache. Celebrating every small victory you do not even notice, and whispering, in moments you cannot hear, you are closer than you think. Keep going. I am right here. And I want to give you permission for something that the world has not given you permission for. I want to give you permission to grieve, not just for the version of yourself that was buried, for all of it, for the childhood that was stolen, for the relationships that were sabotaged, for the years of fog and confusion and self-blame, for the dreams that were delayed so long they stopped feeling like dreams and started feeling like torture, for the prayers that felt like they went unanswered, even though they were heard and held and counted every single time. Grieve it, all of it. Let the tears come if they need to come. Let the anger surface if it needs to surface. Let the sadness breathe if it has been held underwater for too long. Because grief, chosen one, is not weakness. Grief is the soul acknowledging that something mattered, and everything you lost, everything that was taken, everything the enemy stole from your life, it mattered. It all mattered. And giving yourself permission to feel, that is one of the most powerful things you can do for the closing of the trust gap. Because here is something that neuroscience and spirituality agree on completely. Unprocessed grief narrows the neural pathways just as effectively as any external attack. When you carry grief that you have not allowed yourself to feel, it sits in the body. It sits in the default mode network. It occupies the very pathways that need to be clear for the trust gap to close. And as long as it sits there, unexpressed and unacknowledged, it acts as an internal barrier that reinforces everything the enemy has built from the outside. But when you grieve, when you let the sorrow move through you instead of holding it in place, those pathways clear. The internal barrier softens. And the reset, whether it comes through the neurological restoration or through the raw power of a soul finally releasing what it has been carrying, that reset goes deeper, reaches further, produces results that are not just cognitive, but cellular. Not just mental, but spiritual. So right now, in this moment, I am giving you permission. Permission to cry if you need to. Permission to feel everything you have been suppressing. Permission to be something other than strong for once in your life. Because the warrior in you is important. The king in you is essential. But the child in you, the one who has been waiting to be seen, that child is the key to everything. They hold the original frequency, the uncorrupted version of your operating system, the pure, unfiltered trust that heaven installed in you before the world got its hands on you. And when you reconnect with that child, when you honor their grief and validate their pain, something extraordinary happens. The original frequency begins to resurface, not as a memory, as a vibration, a resonance that your body recognizes even if your mind has forgotten it. And that resonance, combined with the neurological reset, creates a restoration so complete that it does not feel like healing. It feels like homecoming. Chosen one, you have been away from home for a long time, not physically, spiritually, neurologically, emotionally. You have been wandering through a world that was never designed for you, trying to fit into a system that was built for people who do not carry what you carry. And the exhaustion, the alienation, the persistent feeling that something is fundamentally wrong, that was never about you. It was about the fit. You were not made for this frequency. You were made for a higher one. And every day you spend operating below your design frequency is a day that feels wrong, because it is wrong. But the wrongness is ending. The battle is reaching its conclusion. The fighter who has been protecting you is clearing the final obstacles. And the path home, the path back to your original frequency, is open. Not partially, fully. All that remains is the step, and chosen one, you are ready for that step, even if you do not feel ready. Because readiness is not a feeling, it is a seal. And your seal is intact. Take a breath right now, not a shallow one, a deep one, the kind that fills your entire chest and forces your shoulders to drop. Feel that expansion. That is your spirit making room for what comes next. Making room for the truth that is about to settle into the spaces grief has cleared, and making room for the version of you that has been waiting patiently and urgently to step forward into the light. Chosen one, now I want to take you into the next layer of your awakening, because what has been happening to you as you listen to this message is not passive. Your spirit has been responding. Your neural pathways have been shifting. The very act of receiving this truth is beginning the process that the enemy has fought so hard to prevent. And the deeper we go, the wider the cracks in the structure of the enemy become. Let me tell you about the moment of crossing. There is a specific point in every chosen journey of a chosen one where they cross from being aware of their assignment to being committed to it. Awareness is not enough. You can be aware of the battle. You can understand the trust gap. You can even feel the seals on your life and know intellectually that they are real. But until you cross from awareness to commitment, the activation remains incomplete. The moment of crossing is not dramatic. It is not thunder and lightning. It is quiet. It happens inside. It is the moment when you stop saying, "I hope this is true," and start saying, "I know this is true." It is the moment when the gap between your certainty of your spirit and your doubt in your mind narrows to nothing. And in that silent, private, sacred moment, everything shifts. The spiritual realm responds with a force that rearranges your reality. Doors that were sealed for years crack open. Relationships that were dead begin to stir. Opportunities that were hidden become visible. And the fog, the thick, suffocating fog that has been your constant companion, burns away like mist in the morning sun. That moment of crossing is available to you right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not after you have done more work on yourself. Right now, because the truth has been spoken. The receiver has been cracking open, and the only thing standing between you and the crossing is a single decision. The decision to trust yourself the way heaven trusts you. And I know what that decision feels like from the inside. It feels terrifying. It feels like jumping off a cliff and trusting that you will fly. But chosen one, you will fly. Not because you have wings you do not know about, but because the one who fights for you has been building a bridge beneath you the entire time. A bridge you cannot see because the trust gap has been blocking your view, but it is there, solid, unshakable, built from the same material that holds the universe together. Let me tell you about what I call the echo effect. This is something that happens after a chosen one crosses from awareness to commitment, and it is one of the most beautiful phenomena in the spiritual realm. When you commit, when you genuinely decide to close the trust gap and step into your assignment, the frequency of your decision echoes backward through time and forward through generations. Backward through time, the echo reaches every ancestor who prayed for this moment, every grandmother who knelt in the dark and asked God to send someone strong enough to break the cycle, every grandfather who endured suffering he could not understand because a voice inside him said, "It would not be for nothing." Your decision, your commitment, reaches them, and in the spiritual realm, they feel it, they know. The one they prayed for has risen. Forward through generations, the echo reaches every child, every grandchild, every descendant who will benefit from the cycle being broken. They will be born into a different frequency because you chose to close the gap. They will grow up without the same fog, without the same trust deficit, without the same corrupted pathways that have been passed down through your bloodline for generations. Your decision does not just change your life, it changes the trajectory of your entire lineage. That is the weight of what you carry. That is why the enemy fights so hard, because you are not just one person making one decision. You are the fulcrum, the turning point, the generational warrior who was selected, sealed, and assigned to be the one who says, "This ends with me. The fog ends with me. The doubt ends with me." The trust gap that has kept my family operating below their design frequency for generations closes now, with me, today. And I can feel the spiritual realm leaning in right now, not watching passively, leaning in with anticipation, with urgency, with a kind of holy excitement that shakes the foundations of the invisible world. Because chosen one, they have been waiting for this moment as long as you have. The fighter who has been battling for you did not fight for years just to watch you hesitate at the threshold. They fought so you could walk through it, confidently, completely, without looking back. Now, I want to remind you of something I shared earlier, because it is even more important now than it was then. Your mind, the physical organ that processes your reality, was designed to operate at a specific frequency, a frequency of trust, clarity, and receptive capacity. And that frequency can be restored. It has been restored for over 18,000 people through the very method I described, the 8-minute audio reset that goes beneath the corruption and restores the original design. If you have not taken that step yet, I understand. The trust gap makes even the act of receiving help feel suspicious. But I want you to consider something. The one who fights for you brought you to this message for a reason, not to be entertained, not to feel temporary inspiration, but to receive the missing piece, the neurological key that turns the spiritual victory into lived experience. That key is waiting for you, and it has been waiting since the day the enemy first touched your mind. But regardless of whether you take that step today or not, what I am about to share in the remaining minutes of this message is for you. It is the deeper truth about your identity, the truth about what happens when a chosen one fully activates, and the truth about the future that is rushing toward you with a speed that would overwhelm you if I did not prepare you for it first. Because, chosen one, the battle is not just ending. Something else is beginning, something so much larger than the battle, something that the fight was always meant to protect you for. And when you see what it is, when you understand the scale of what heaven has been preparing behind the fog and beneath the warfare, you will understand why the enemy fought so hard to keep you blind. The enemy was never afraid of who you are now. The enemy is terrified of who you are about to become. Let me give you a glimpse. When you activate fully, you will carry a frequency that disrupts darkness without you having to do anything. Walking into a room will change the atmosphere. Speaking a word will break chains in people you have never met. Making a decision will set off a chain reaction in the spiritual realm that repositions resources, redirects opportunities, and dismantles systems of oppression that have been running unchecked for years. This is not exaggeration. This is the documented pattern of what happens when a chosen one who has been under warfare for their entire life suddenly operates at full capacity. The contrast between their suppressed state and their activated state creates a spiritual shockwave, and that shockwave does not just affect them, it ripples outward, touching every life connected to theirs, every community they enter, every space they occupy. The enemy has seen this before. The enemy has watched chosen ones activate throughout history and has experienced the devastation it causes to every dark operation in the vicinity. And that is exactly why the attack on you has been so relentless. The enemy calculated the potential impact of your activation and determined that the cost of fighting against you was worth it, because the alternative, letting you walk freely into your assignment, was far more costly to the kingdom of darkness. But the fight is coming to an end. The costs have exceeded what the enemy budgeted. The one fighting for you has been more persistent, more strategic, and more powerful than the enemy anticipated. And now, the final phase has begun. The phase where the chosen one wakes up, the trust gap closes, and everything the enemy feared becomes reality. Chosen one, we are entering sacred ground now. Everything I have shared up to this point has been preparation. Preparation for you to receive what I am about to say with a mind that is cracked open just enough to let the light in. And I need you to understand that what comes next is not information, it is activation. Every word from this point forward carries a weight that your spirit will feel, even if your conscious mind tries to resist it. The sacred seal I am about to speak over your life is not something I created. It is not something any human being has the authority to create. It comes from the same source that assigned you, that sent a warrior to fight for you, that placed 3 unbreakable seals on your identity, your assignment, and your provision. And hearing it spoken aloud, even through a recording, activates something in the spiritual realm that cannot be undone. Before I speak it, I need to address one final lie the enemy has planted in your mind. It is the deepest lie, the one buried so far beneath the surface that you might not even recognize it as a lie. It feels like common sense. It feels like reality. And it has been the bedrock of the entire operation of the enemy against you. The lie is this: you believe you need to earn what heaven is giving you. You believe that there is some threshold of worthiness you have not yet crossed, some level of spiritual maturity you have not yet reached, some invisible qualification that separates you from the chosen ones who actually deserve their breakthrough. That is the lie, and it is the most dangerous one the enemy has ever told, because it is dressed up as humility. It sounds like modesty. It sounds like self-awareness. But in reality, it is self-sabotage wearing the mask of virtue. Because what it actually does is keep you in the gap. It keeps you waiting for a permission that was never required. It keeps you striving for a qualification that was never part of the criteria. Chosen one, you were not chosen because you qualified. You were chosen because you were designed. There is a difference so vast that understanding it will collapse the last remaining structure of the trust gap. Qualification is something you earn through performance. Design is something you were given at creation. You did not earn your eye color. You did not earn your heartbeat. You did not earn the neural pathways that were placed in your brain to carry the frequency of trust and possibility. These things were designed into you, and your assignment, your purpose, your breakthrough, they are no different. They were designed into the fabric of your existence before you had the chance to earn or fail at anything. The enemy rewired your mind to believe that design follows performance, that you had to prove yourself worthy before heaven would activate your assignment. But the truth is the exact opposite. The assignment was activated before you were born. The worthiness was installed at creation, and the only thing that has been missing is the receiver, the clear, uncorrupted mind that can hold the frequency of what was already given. So when I say, you do not need to earn this, I mean it at the molecular level. Your worthiness is not in question. It never was. The battle that has been fought on your behalf was never about whether you deserved it. It was about whether you would be able to receive it. And everything that has happened in this message, every revelation, every truth, every moment of vulnerability, has been moving you closer to the point of reception. Now let me ask you something, and I want you to answer this with your spirit, not your mind. Because your mind will default to the corrupted answer. Your spirit will tell you the truth. Do you believe that someone is fighting for you? Feel that answer. Do not think it. Feel it. Because if you felt a yes, even a small one, even a whispered one, buried beneath layers of doubt, then the trust gap is already narrowing. Your receiver is already coming back online, and the sacred seal I am about to speak has a clear pathway to reach you. Here is the second question. Do you believe that you were chosen for something specific? Again, feel it. Let your spirit answer before your mind has a chance to intervene with reasons why it cannot be true. Because your spirit knows. It has always known. And the knowing that lives inside your spirit is the most reliable source of truth you will ever encounter. And the third question, are you willing to trust yourself the way heaven trusts you? Not perfectly, not completely, not without fear, but willingly. Are you willing to take one step toward the version of yourself that has been buried, sleeping, waiting for you to say yes? If the answer is yes, even a trembling, uncertain, barely audible yes, then what I am about to speak over your life will land with a force that the enemy cannot intercept. Because the sacred seal does not require perfect faith, it requires willingness. And willingness is something the enemy cannot manufacture and cannot destroy. It can only be given, and you just gave it. Chosen one, I speak this over your life with the authority of the truth that has been revealed in this message. You are sealed. Your identity cannot be altered by any human opinion, any spiritual attack, or any internal doubt. You are assigned. Your purpose is specific, powerful, and waiting for your activation. You are provided for. Everything you need to fulfill your assignment has already been arranged, and the barriers to receiving it are falling as these words enter your spirit. The trust gap is closing. The receiver is coming back online. The one who fights for you is shifting from defense to celebration, and the version of you that has been buried beneath years of warfare is rising. Not slowly, not gradually. Now. In this moment, with every breath you take from this point forward, the fog is lifting, the clarity is returning. The authority that was placed on your life before you were born is reactivating, and the enemy that has been waging war against you for your entire life, is watching its entire operation collapse. Not because you became stronger, but because you became willing to receive, willing to trust, willing to step into what was always yours. I want you to understand something about what just happened. That seal I spoke over your life is not temporary. It does not expire when this message ends. It does not weaken when you walk away from the screen. It has been planted in the spiritual realm, and it carries the weight of every truth we have explored together. The battle, the trust gap, the 3 seals, the generational echo, the moment of crossing. All of it is now compressed into a single spiritual marker on your life that the angels recognize and the enemy cannot remove. But I also want to be honest with you. The sacred seal activates the spiritual dimension. It opens the door on the side of heaven. But the door has 2 sides, and on your side, the neurological side, there is still work to be done. The pathways still need to be cleared. The default mode network still needs to be reset. The physical infrastructure of your brain still needs to be restored to the frequency it was designed for. And that is why the spiritual and the neurological must work together. The sacred seal without the neural reset is a door that is open on one side but locked on the other. You can feel the breakthrough. You can sense it on the other side. But the fog in your mind, the corrupted pathways, they keep you from walking through. And the neural reset without the sacred seal is a clear mind with no direction, intelligence without assignment, capacity without purpose. You need both, and now you have both. The seal has been spoken. The information about the reset has been given. What remains is the decision, your decision, the most important one you will make this year. And it is waiting for you with the patience of a heaven that has already fought the war and won the victory. All that remains is for you to receive what has been won. Do not let the enemy tell you that you have time. You do not have time to waste in the gap. Every day in the gap is a day of your assignment unfulfilled. Every morning in the fog is a morning the world is deprived of what you carry. The urgency is not about sales. The urgency is about destiny, your destiny, and it has waited long enough. Chosen one, now I want to tell you who you really are, not who the world says you are, not who your failures say you are, not who the corrupted voice of the enemy inside your head says you are. Who you are according to the one who designed you, sealed you, and sent an army to fight for you. You are a carrier, not a carrier of disease or burden, a carrier of frequency. The same frequency that angels operate on, the frequency of trust, authority, and divine certainty, was embedded in your spiritual DNA at creation. Most people on this earth do not carry this frequency. That is not a judgment against them. It is simply a fact. They were designed for different assignments. You were designed to carry the frequency that breaks generational chains, shifts atmospheres, and rewrites the rules of what is possible for every life you touch. When I say you were designed for a different frequency, I mean it literally. Your brain, your nervous system, your spiritual architecture, all of it was built to handle a level of power that would overwhelm most people. That is why the enemy had to work so hard to suppress you. A normal level of interference would have been enough for an ordinary assignment, but your assignment is not ordinary, and the suppression required to keep you from it has been extraordinary, which means the moment that suppression lifts, the level of power that flows through you will be extraordinary too. I know you do not feel powerful right now. I know the gap between what I am describing and what you experience daily feels vast. But remember what we talked about. The gap is not a measurement of your potential. It is a measurement of the corruption. Your potential has not decreased, not by a single unit. Every ability, every gift, every capacity that heaven placed in you is fully intact, preserved by the seals, protected by the warrior, waiting for the receiver to come back online. Let me describe you in terms the spiritual realm uses. You are a gatekeeper, that is the designation. Gatekeepers are chosen ones, whose assignment involves standing at the threshold between dimensions and controlling what passes through. In practical terms, this means you have the ability to determine what enters your family, your community, your circle. When you are activated, darkness cannot pass through your gate without your permission, and you will never give that permission. This is why the enemy attacked your gate first, your mind. The mind of the gatekeeper is the gate. And if the gate is compromised, if the gatekeeper does not know they are a gatekeeper, if the fog prevents them from seeing what is trying to pass through, then the enemy moves freely. It passes through unchecked. It infects the family. It corrupts the community. It poisons the well that the gatekeeper was assigned to protect. But a gatekeeper who is awake, a gatekeeper whose mind is clear and whose trust gap is closed, is an impenetrable wall against the darkness. Nothing passes that the gatekeeper does not allow. And the authority of a gatekeeper is absolute within their domain, not because they earned it, because it was designed into their assignment. It is not something they do, it is something they are. You have been a gatekeeper your entire life without knowing it. And the reason the attacks against you were so personal, so relentless, so carefully targeted at your mind and your confidence, is because the enemy was trying to incapacitate the gatekeeper before the gatekeeper woke up. And, for a while, it worked. The gate was compromised. Things passed through that should not have passed through. Pain entered your family that should have been stopped at the threshold. Cycles continued that should have been broken at your gate. But chosen one, the moment you wake up, the moment the trust gap closes and you step into your designation as gatekeeper, every single thing that passed through while you were asleep is evicted, not gradually, not through years of spiritual warfare on your part, automatically. Because a functioning gatekeeper does not need to fight what should not be there. Their presence alone is the authority. Their frequency alone is the weapon. And everything that does not belong in their domain leaves when the frequency activates. The same way darkness leaves a room when someone turns on the light. You do not fight darkness with darkness. You do not fight fog with fog. You turn on the light. And the light is your activated mind, your restored frequency, your closed trust gap, operating at the level heaven designed for you. That is the weapon. That is the solution. That is the answer to every prayer your ancestors ever prayed when they begged heaven to send someone strong enough to guard the gate. And here is the part that connects everything. The genius switch is not just a neural reset. For a gatekeeper, it is the key that reopens the gate. It restores the specific neural pathways that control the ability of the gatekeeper to discern what belongs and what does not. It reopens the channels that allow the gatekeeper to hear the voice of the one who assigned them, the voice that tells them when to open, when to close, when to stand firm, and when to advance. Without those channels, even an awakened gatekeeper operates on partial information. They know they are chosen. They feel the authority stirring inside them, but they cannot hear the specific instructions. And a gatekeeper without instructions is a warrior without a battle plan. Brave, powerful, but directionless. It provides the clarity that turns bravery into precision and power into purpose. Chosen one, I am not just telling you about a product. I am telling you about the final piece of an architecture that heaven has been building around your life since before you were born. The warrior who fights for you is one piece. The 3 seals are another. The sacred seal spoken over you today is another. And the neurological reset that the reset it provides is the final piece, the one that connects all the others and makes the architecture functional. Without that final piece, the architecture is beautiful but incomplete. Like a cathedral with no door. The structure is magnificent. The design is flawless. But you cannot enter. It is the door. And on the other side of it is everything. Your assignment, your provision, your impact, your legacy. And the peace, chosen one, the deep, unshakable, bone-level peace that comes from knowing exactly who you are and operating fully within your design. That peace is worth more than any amount of money, but it is available to you today for $39. And that contrast between the immeasurable value of what you receive and the tiny cost of receiving it should tell you something about the generosity of the one who arranged it. Now, let me speak to the gatekeepers who are listening and feeling something they have never felt before. A stirring, a recognition, a sensation in the center of your chest that feels like a lock turning. That is the gate responding. For the first time in years, maybe in your entire life, the gate is recognizing the voice of its keeper. And the keeper, the real you, the you underneath the fog and the corruption and the years of spiritual amnesia, is responding back. This is not imagination. This is not wishful thinking. This is the beginning of something that will redefine every area of your life. Your relationships will change because a gatekeeper who knows their identity does not settle for connections that carry the wrong frequency. Your finances will shift because a gatekeeper whose gate is open receives provision as naturally as breathing. Your health will improve because a gatekeeper operating at their designed frequency creates an environment inside their own body that disease cannot thrive in. Everything changes when the gatekeeper wakes up. And, chosen one, you are waking up. Not tomorrow, not someday, right now, in this moment. And, with every word that penetrates the fog and reaches the truth beneath it, the gate is opening. The keeper is rising, and the enemy is watching the most effective weapon in its arsenal, your own self-doubt, crumble to dust in the presence of truth. Chosen one, we are approaching the end of this message, and I want to use these remaining moments to speak with an honesty and a directness that honors the time you have given me and the trust you have shown by staying this long. Everything I have shared with you today is real. The battle is real. The trust gap is real. The seals on your life are real. The fighter who has been battling for you since before you were born is real. And the genius switch, the neurological reset that closes the gap and activates the gatekeeper, is real. None of this was theory. None of it was wishful thinking. All of it was truth, delivered in a sequence designed to bypass the defenses of the enemy and reach the part of you that has been waiting for permission to believe. Now let me tell you what happens if you do nothing, because I owe you that honesty. If you leave this message and change nothing, the fog will return. The momentary clarity you may be feeling right now The crack in the trust gap that these words have created will seal itself back over. The corrupted operating system will repair the damage that truth did to it today. And by tomorrow morning, you will wake up in the same fog, with the same heaviness, wondering if what you heard was real, or if it was just another message that felt good but changed nothing. I am not saying this to pressure you. I am saying this because I care about the outcome of your life more than I care about your comfort in this moment. The trust gap does not narrow on its own. Time does not heal it. It is not like a wound that gradually closes if you leave it alone. It is a system failure that requires intervention. And without intervention, it stays open indefinitely. Years pass. Decades pass. And the assignment that was written with your name on it remains unfulfilled while you wonder what went wrong. But if you take action, if you decide right now that today is the day the gap closes, everything changes. Not eventually, not in the distant future. The stories I shared with you, the people who described the fog lifting overnight, the clarity returning like lights turning on in a dark room, those are not exceptions. They are the pattern. They are what happens when a chosen one finally receives the neurological reset and the spiritual seal at the same time. You have the seal. It was spoken over your life minutes ago. The one thing you do not have yet is the reset, and the reset is waiting for you at the link in the description. $39. Full money back guarantee. 8 minutes a day. And a transformation that over 18,400 people will tell you is the most important thing that ever happened to them. Let me remove every barrier the enemy might place between you and that link. You might be thinking, I do not have $39 right now. And to that I say, consider what the gap is costing you. Every day it stays open. Missed opportunities, wasted energy, broken relationships, delayed provision. The invisible cost of operating below your designed frequency is not $39. It is thousands, tens of thousands. A lifetime of potential that goes unrealized because the receiver was never restored. You might be thinking, what if it does not work for me? And to that I say, the 100% money-back guarantee means you have zero risk. Zero. If you use the method and the fog does not lift, you get every penny back and you have lost nothing. But if it does work, if the pathway's clear and the receiver comes back online, you have gained everything. You might be thinking, I need to think about it. And to that I say, with love and with truth, thinking about it is the trust gap talking. The corrupted operating system is programmed to delay every decision that could lead to your activation. It creates the illusion of wisdom by telling you to wait, to research, to sleep on it. But chosen one, how many breakthroughs have you slept on that never came back? How many doors did you decide to think about that were closed by the time you returned? The enemy counts on your hesitation. Do not give it what it counts on. The link is in the description. The guarantee eliminates the risk. The seal has been spoken. The fighter who has been battling for you has cleared the path. And now, the only thing standing between you and everything heaven has been holding for you is a single click. A single act of trust. A single moment where you say, I am worth this. My assignment is worth this. The generations that follow me are worth this. And when you click that link, when you make that decision, something happens in the spiritual realm that I want you to be aware of. The one who has been fighting for you, the warrior who has defended your life through every attack, every betrayal, every night when the darkness pressed in so close you could barely breathe, that warrior receives a signal that says, the gatekeeper has chosen, the activation is proceeding. Shift from defense to deployment. Deployment means the warrior stops defending against what was and starts advancing toward what will be, your future, your assignment, your impact. The moment you decide, the entire spiritual operation around your life pivots from protection to production. And the things that begin to happen in your life after that pivot will make every year of warfare worth it. I have done everything I can to bring you to this moment. I have shared truths that the enemy did not want you to hear. I have described a battle that was hidden from you your entire life. I have revealed a gap that explains every struggle, every delay, every broken dream, and I have shown you the tool that closes it. The rest is your decision. And chosen one, I trust your decision. The same way heaven trusts it. The same way the fighter trusts it. The same way every ancestor who prayed for this moment trusts it. You were chosen for this. You were sealed for this. You were brought to this message for this. Now receive what was fought for. Click the link in the description and let the activation begin. And if you have already made that decision, if you have already clicked the link or are planning to as soon as this message ends, I want to speak something specific over you. You did not just make a purchase. You made a declaration that says, I refuse to spend one more day in the gap. I refuse to let the corruption the enemy installed stand between me and my assignment for one more morning. I refuse to deny my children and my grandchildren the freedom that comes from a broken cycle. You made the bravest decision you could possibly make, and the spiritual realm is responding. Right now, in this very moment, the fighter who has been battling for you is changing posture from defensive crouch to upright celebration. Because the one they have been fighting for, the one they trusted more than that person trusted themselves, has finally said yes. And that yes echoes further and louder than any battle cry ever could. For those still considering, still feeling the push and pull between the voice of truth and the voice of corruption, I want to say this. There is no judgment in waiting. There is no condemnation in hesitation. The fighter does not stop fighting because you need another moment. The seals do not expire because you need more time. But I would not be honest if I did not tell you that the clarity you feel right now, in this moment, is a window. And windows do not stay open forever. The enemy will work to close it, not because the enemy has power over the window, but because the enemy has had years of practice at distracting you at the exact moment a decision matters most. If something inside you is saying yes, trust that something. That something is not your corrupted mind. That something is your spirit, the part of you that the enemy cannot touch, the part that has been waiting for this moment for your entire life. And it is speaking to you right now, through the resistance, through the doubt, through every layer of fog that still remains, saying, this is it, this is the moment, take the step. Chosen one, I want to spend these final moments with you, not as a teacher, but as a fellow traveler, someone who has seen the battle and knows what it costs, someone who has watched the trust gap close in real time and witnessed the transformation that follows, and someone who believes in you with the same unwavering certainty that the fighter in the spiritual realm believes in you. You did something remarkable today. You stayed. In a world of short attention spans and quick scrolling, you stayed. Through the revelations, through the tears that may have come, through the moments when your corrupted operating system screamed at you to leave because the truth was too close, too personal, too real, you stayed. And that alone tells the spiritual realm everything it needs to know about your readiness. The enemy bet everything on your inability to stay. The enemy designed the fog specifically to make focused attention impossible. It designed the exhaustion to make sustained engagement feel like torture. It designed the self-doubt to make you believe that messages like this are for other people, stronger people, more deserving people. And you defeated every single one of those designs by simply being here, by simply Receiving. By simply allowing the truth to do what truth does when it reaches an open spirit. I want to tell you something about tomorrow morning. Whether you click the link in the description tonight or not, tomorrow morning will be different. Not because the fog will have permanently lifted from this message alone, but because something has been planted. A seed of truth that the enemy cannot remove because it was planted in the soil of willingness. You were willing to listen. You were willing to consider. You were willing to feel. And willingness is the soil in which every breakthrough begins. But chosen one, a seed in soil, still needs water. And the water, in this context, is action. A seed of truth without action remains a seed forever. Beautiful in its potential, but unrealized in its impact. The genius switch is the water. It takes the seed of truth that was planted today and gives it what it needs to grow into the full, lived experience of everything we talked about. The closed trust gap, the clear mind, the open receiver, the activated assignment, the gatekeeper, fully online. Without the water, the seed sits, and over time, the enemy will pile dirt on top of it, not aggressively, gently, one distraction at a time, one busy day at a time, one tomorrow that turns into next week, that turns into next month, until the seed is buried so deep that you forget it was ever planted. I have seen this happen too many times, and it breaks my heart every single time, because the potential was there, the willingness was there, the truth was there, but the action did not follow fast enough to outrun the patient and persistent campaign of distraction. Do not let that be your story. Your story is supposed to be different. Your story is supposed to be the one where the chosen one hears the truth, takes the action, closes the gap, and walks into their assignment with the full force of heaven at their back. That is the story the fighter has been fighting for. That is the story your ancestors prayed for. And that is the story that you have the power to write, starting right now, with a single click. The link is in the description. I will not say it again after this. $39, complete money-back guarantee, 8 minutes a day, and a life that reflects who heaven always knew you were. The decision is yours. And whatever you decide, I want you to know that the fighter does not stop fighting. The seals do not expire. And the truth that was planted today does not die. It waits, patiently but urgently, for the moment you are ready to water it. Now I want to close with something that has nothing to do with any product, any method, any tool. I want to close with you, your heart, your story, your future. Because regardless of anything else, the truth that was spoken over your life today is permanent. You are chosen, you are sealed, you are assigned, you are provided for. And you are loved with a ferocity that the human mind cannot fully comprehend. The battles that were fought for you were fought out of love, not obligation, not duty, love. The kind of love that sees your mess and calls it beautiful. The kind that watches you fail and calls you brave. The kind that holds you accountable not because it wants to control you, but because it refuses to let you live beneath your design. That love is not conditional. It does not increase when you perform well and decrease when you stumble. It is constant, steady, present in every moment, including this one. And the fact that you can hear these words, that something inside you is resonating with them rather than rejecting them, is proof that the trust gap is narrower right now than it has been in years, maybe ever. You have moved closer to yourself in the last hour than you may have moved in the last decade. Hold that. Do not let go of it. The enemy will try to steal it the moment this message ends. It will send distractions. It will create problems. It will trigger the old patterns of doubt and self-blame to overwrite the truth that was planted. Do not let it. Guard this truth like the gatekeeper you are. Protect it, water it, and let it grow into the life that was always meant to be yours. You are not who the enemy says you are. You are not who your failures say you are. You are not who the fog says you are. You are who heaven says you are. And heaven says you are enough, more than enough. You are exactly right, exactly chosen, and exactly ready for what comes next. Before I move into the final blessing, I want to leave you with 3 things to carry with you from this moment forward. 3 truths that will serve as anchors when the enemy tries to destabilize what was built today. The first truth is this: you were never alone, not for a single second of your life. The loneliness you felt was real, but it was manufactured. Manufactured by an enemy that needed you to believe you were abandoned so that you would not call for the help that was already standing right beside you. The fighter was there, in every dark moment, in every sleepless night, in every morning where the fog was so thick you could barely function. They were there, and they will continue to be there long after this message ends, long after the trust gap closes, long after you have forgotten what it felt like to live in the fog. The second truth is this: your timing is perfect. I know it does not feel like it. I know it feels like you are late, like everyone else got their breakthrough years ago and you are still waiting. But the truth is, your breakthrough was never meant to arrive earlier. Everything that happened, every delay, every detour, every year that felt wasted, was part of a calibration so precise that arriving even one day earlier would have meant arriving before you were ready. And arriving before you were ready would have meant receiving before you could hold. Heaven does not send what you cannot carry, and the fact that it is arriving now means you are finally strong enough to hold it. The third truth is this: the best is not behind you. I know the enemy has told you that your best days are over, that the energy and optimism and fearlessness of your youth was the peak, and everything from here is decline. That is the most insidious lie in the collection of the enemy, because it steals your future by convincing you it already happened. Chosen one, your best days have not arrived yet, not even close. Everything you have experienced up to this point, including this message, including the battles, including the pain, has been the prologue. The story has not even started yet. And when it starts, when the gatekeeper activates and the trust gap closes and the receiver comes fully online, the life that unfolds will be so far beyond anything you imagined during the years in the fog that looking back will feel like waking from a dream. Those 3 truths: you were never alone, your timing is perfect, and the best is not behind you. Carry them like armor. Speak them when the fog tries to return. Declare them when the doubt tries to creep back in. And let them remind you, in every moment of weakness, that the one who fights for you has not stopped, will not stop, and cannot be defeated. Now, chosen one, it is time for the final blessing. The last words I will speak over your life in this message. Words that carry the weight of everything we have shared together. Words that the fighter in the spiritual realm is waiting to hear, because they signal the completion of a mission that began before you were born. Chosen one, receive this blessing, not with your mind, with your spirit. Let the words bypass the operating system and go straight to the place where truth lives, the place the enemy cannot reach, the place where the original version of you, the clear, powerful, fully designed version, has been waiting to hear these words since the day you were born. I bless your mind. The fog that has been sitting on your thoughts is lifting. The confusion that has made every decision feel impossible is clearing. The neural pathways that were narrowed by years of warfare are beginning to widen right now as these words reach your spirit. You were designed for clarity. Clarity is your birthright. And from this moment forward, the fog has less power over you than it did when this message began. I bless your heart. The walls you built to protect yourself were necessary. They served you well, but they are no longer needed. The one who fights for you has secured the perimeter. It is safe to open. It is safe to feel. It is safe to trust again. Not because the world has become trustworthy, but because you have become strong enough to trust without needing the world to be perfect first. I bless your assignment. Everything that was written for your life is intact. Not a single letter has been erased. Not a single promise has been withdrawn. The delays end here. The detours end here. The alignment between your spirit and your purpose begins now, and it accelerates with every step you take toward closing the trust gap. I bless your provision. The resources you need are not scarce. They are not limited. They are abundant, allocated, and ready to flow the moment the receiver opens wide enough to hold them. Money is coming. Opportunities are coming. The right people are coming. Not because you figured out how to attract them, but because a gatekeeper who is online becomes a magnet for everything that was assigned to pass through their gate. I bless your relationships. The people who left were repositioned. The people who are coming are aligned. And the ones who stayed, the quiet ones you may have overlooked because you were too tired to notice their faithfulness, they are about to become the most important allies you have ever known. Honor them. They held the line when you could not. I bless your body. The exhaustion that has made every day feel like running through water is not your permanent state. Your body was designed to carry the energy of your assignment, and when the trust gap closes, the energy returns. Not the nervous, caffeinated, forced energy of survival mode. The deep, steady, inexhaustible energy of a person operating at their designed frequency. Sleep will heal again. Movement will invigorate again. And the heaviness that has been sitting in your bones will dissolve like morning mist. I bless your lineage, the generational cycles that have been running through your family for decades, the patterns of self-doubt, financial struggle, broken relationships, and spiritual confusion. They end with you, not because you are perfect, but because you are willing to face the truth, willing to close the gap, willing to be the gatekeeper who stands at the threshold and says, "This passes no further. My children will not carry this. My grandchildren will not inherit this. It stops here, with me, today." And finally, chosen one, I bless your future. Not the future the enemy planned for you, the one filled with more fog, more delays, more questions without answers. The future that heaven wrote for you, the one where you wake up clear, where you move with purpose, where every room you enter shifts because the frequency you carry is too powerful to be ignored, where the people who once dismissed you cannot look away because the transformation is so complete, so undeniable, so obviously supernatural that they have no choice but to acknowledge that something far greater than human effort produced it. That future is not years away. It is not on the other side of more suffering. It is on the other side of a decision. One decision, one click, one act of trust that says, "I choose to receive what was fought for." The fighter who has been battling for you is standing at attention right now, not because the battle requires it, because the moment does. This is the moment they fought for, not just the moment you heard the truth, the moment you decided to act on it. They can feel it, the shift in your spirit, the crack in the wall, the trust gap narrowing to a width so thin that the signal is almost getting through. Let it through. Stop holding it back. The one who loves you, the one who fought for you, the one who trusted you more than you have ever trusted yourself. They are not asking for perfection. They are asking for willingness. And willingness is the one thing the enemy cannot fake, cannot manufacture, and cannot destroy. Chosen one, this is where I leave you. But it is not where the story ends. This is where the story begins. The real story. The one that was written with your name on it before the foundations of the world. The one the enemy tried to destroy and could not. The one the fighter defended with everything they had. The one that starts not with a dramatic moment of transformation, but with a quiet decision made by a chosen one who finally, after years of warfare and fog and doubt, said yes. Say yes. The trust gap closes when you do. The receiver comes online when you do. The assignment activates when you do. The generational cycle breaks when you do. And the one who has been fighting for you, the one who trusted you more than you could imagine, finally gets to celebrate. Not because the battle is over, but because you won. Chosen one, you are seen, you are known, you are fought for, and you are loved. Go in peace, go in power. Go in the full knowledge that you were never alone, your timing was always perfect, and the best